on radio.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Let's go! Hey, Doc, nice office. Quick question. If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
Run payroll, no question.
Seriously? Have you run payroll before?
Paying my team with Gusto couldn't be easier. Gusto gives me unlimited payroll runs, next-day direct deposits, and automatically files my taxes. Saves me time.
Wow, that's nice.
Over here, Doc. Can I run payroll too?
Choose payroll without the pain. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up.
Hi, I'm Chris.
I'm David.
And I'm John Margevisi with Jack's Restaurant and Bar.
Dude, what's with that voice?
Bro, it's my radio voice. People say I have a great voice for radio.
Bro, people say you have a great face for radio.
Oh, you have a radio
Guys,
face.
not again. We're here to talk about Jack's. Our mom taught us everything we know. Use the best ingredients. Cook everything homemade. Treat everyone like family.
Don't forget the bar.
With amazing cocktails.
Of course. Full bar. Amazing cocktails. Let's stay focused.
You're right. I'm sorry, bro.
I'm sorry, too.
That's better. Besides, you're twins. You have the same face for radio.
Why, you little
I love Jax.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-507-9701. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-507-9701. That's 800-507-9701. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on OpenSignal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Hey, Bay Area, slam dunk and save lives with Stanford Blood Center. Donate blood during October, and you'll be automatically entered to win tickets to the Golden State Warriors game on Christmas Day. Every time you donate, you could help up to 3 people, bringing strength and support to individuals and families when they need it most. This is our way of saying thank you for being a hero in your community. Visit StanfordBloodCenter.org to learn more and schedule your donation today. That's StanfordBloodCenter.org.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-351-4596. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-351-4596. 800-351-4596. 800-351-4596.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM and HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
It's time for the Kickoff Show.
What a win for the 49ers!
It's Sunday, and we're locked in on the red and gold.
What a run by George Kittle!
Well, good morning, everyone. It is game day as the San Francisco 49ers get set to invade Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, the Buccaneers, and we got you locked and loaded for the next 2 hours leading up until the kickoff here on 95.7 The Game. Evan Giddings, Lorenzo, Neal, and Lowe. I know it's been a bit, brother. We had that Thursday night unbelievable win by the Niners in the last, between the last time we got to chat, but it's good to see you.
It's always good to see you. My goodness, the 49ers have been cooking in Frisco. They've been lighting it up, lighting up the scoreboard. I mean, return of the Mac. The Mac is throwing up, spitting up, eating bananas, and just finding a way to win ball games for this 49ers football team.
Well, that Thursday night matchup, and look, we'll get you ready for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a lot to sort of dig into. Injuries galore for both sides that are going to potentially determine the outcome of this football game. We're also going to go around the NFL and listen to some of the most important sound from this week here on 95.7 The Game. We got some from Steve Young, Tony Dungy, who used to play for Drew Bledsoe. A lot of great guests this week that we're going to review, but we got to start with what happened in Los Angeles because that game, Lo, I think about 7 different things happened in the last 5 minutes of regulation and then overtime that could have determined the outcome of the game. The goal line stand by the 49ers. You had special teams gassed by the Rams. You had some interesting coaching decisions by both sides that could have ended that game earlier. Sean McVay has a bad play call on 4th down, chooses not to go for the tie at home, but the 49ers end up getting the win of the year, and that's the reason now why we're talking about 2 4-1 teams here today.
Yeah, it really is. It's the reason because, hey, these teams, they found a way. It's the 49ers, you look at where they're at today and where did you think they would be going into the season? I'd be the first to say that I didn't think that they would be on the top of the NFC West. I didn't think this team would be competing the way that it has. I would also thought that there would have been a lot different outcomes, meaning that you don't have any interceptions. I think to lead the league with non-existence. No team they got the record for non-interceptions. But in spite of it all, you look at this Niner team at 4-1. There's a lot of people out there, and we'll get into it as well. This team possibly and should be maybe even 5-0. So when you think about what they've done and how they've accomplished it, it really hasn't been seen in many years when you're talking about the lack of sacks, no interceptions, don't necessarily as a great team to get turnovers. How are you right here at 4-1? I think there's so many things that are surrounding this team that says, oh my goodness, if this team starts to get cooking and get some of these things ironed out or put more pressure on the quarterback, get more sacks, how good can this Niner team be?
Well, that's the thing with San Francisco and Tampa Bay and why I think it's such an interesting matchup because watching last week, watching the 3 games that Mac Jones has quarterbacked to victory, there is a little feeling of, all right, when's the shoe going to drop, right? Is he going to turn back into a pumpkin? Or the things that are happening for the 49ers sustainable? I would say no. But the difference between them and Tampa Bay, Low, is they got a lot of guys out that are going to come back. Right. And we'll talk about the quarterbacks extensively as well, but George Kittle will come back. Ricky Pearsall, who's out for this game, is eventually going to come back. This is a team that's going to get healthy. The only season-long injury is Nick Bosa, and that's obviously a big loss. But the Niners are a team, it looks like they have room to improve, and that's what's been so, I don't know if it's difficult, but certainly impressive about their 4-1 start is they're finding ways to win games, and I do believe they have another level to get to.
And I don't know if it's another level for a couple reasons. I think is this as good as it get? Possibly. And are you okay with it because they're winning? Yes. But when you say it got other guys coming back, yes, and I agree. They can help in the receiving end of it. But when we think about, you still have one of the better runners in this league and still haven't had 100 yards yet. When you
or
look
a
at
rushing touchdown.
Or a rushing touchdown. When you think about what this offensive line, the inability to run block with consistency, no run, haven't had a run from scrimmage over 20, 30 yards, haven't had a big play running the ball. That's what's rare. And that's what's that's that part of this offense that you say, can you play like this all year and find a way to win ball games? Because you have your offensive line. You have your starters. And what is it? What is that missing element that you're saying, man, this running game is just not cooking the way that we knew the San Francisco 49ers can run the ball?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a question of, do you believe that this is who they are, or do you believe that they'll be able to turn around? The other thing, too, is like Christian McCaffrey is on pace for 440 touches. I mean, this guy has gotten the ball more than almost. You can make a case that he is the MVP of this football team so far.
Oh, yeah, absolutely you can. And I think that you have to say that he is. You think what he is in the passing game, this guy catches every game. He's caught over 5 balls. I mean, he is a huge, huge reason why this team sits at 4-1. How many times have we converted a third down where they went to Christian McCaffrey? You think about what he's been able to do for this offense. It's unbelievable. But I don't know if he's necessarily the MVP. If you said, hey, you want me to give an MVP right now? For me, it's clear, and it's simple, and it's not even close. It's a runaway. It's mayhem, who the guy is. And you know who it is. It's Mac Jones. When you think about what this guy has done and what he's been through, and, all chips are, you push the chips in the middle of the table. And here's a guy that's been, different places and, his first high draft pick, went New England, played well, played decent there. Yes, they decided to run him out of town, but he was a pretty decent quarterback there. He's been in the playoffs. Look what this guy has done. And look how he has kept this team together. And look how he's orchestrated win. He's had game-winning drives after game-winning drives. And he's been very, very efficient. So I think my MVP, I love McCaffrey. And I think he's unbelievable. But for me, it's Mac Jones.
I mean, you could also make a case it's Kyle Shanahan with what this guy's been able to get out of his quarterback. What Mac Jones has done, 6 touchdowns to 1 interception, completing 67% of his passes, obviously hasn't lost a game. He's averaged over 300 yards per game passing with a quarterback rating of near 100. It's been utterly ridiculous. And especially like that game against the Rams. Okay, I understand New Orleans, not to downplay it. It's an NFL opponent, but it's New Orleans. That was a game where we went in expecting him to outplay Rattler. He did. Arizona was a game where they did just enough to win that football game, but he still did lead you on a game-winning drive. The Rams, on a short week, without all of those weapons, is an 8.5-point underdog, the largest victory in terms of spread that Shanahan has ever had as head coach. That was one that I don't care if you do or don't believe in Mac Jones. That has to open your eyes to what this guy is capable of. And, it was just surgical. I mean, quick passes, getting the ball out fast. With the absence, to your point, of a running game, he's still diced what we both believe to be coming into the year the best team in the division.
Yeah, some would think that arguably it's the top 2 teams in the whole NFC. When you look at the Rams, and so I like what he's doing, his decision-making, getting rid of the ball quick, getting it out of his hands. But if you just think about what Mac Jones, as a quarterback, he's pretty consistent. And I think that's why Kyle Shanahan went out and said, hey, look, I like this guy in the draft. Here's a guy that, the 49ers looked at and said, hey, this is a guy that we're seriously thinking about making him our future and our franchise quarterback. That's the Niners. And now it comes full circle. Now they got their guy. They got their guy that they were thinking about drafting in the first round. And now they have him, and he is not letting them down. He's not letting the team down. He's playing with the swagger. He's getting rid of the ball. He's running the offense with high efficiency. He's a smart quarterback. I think when you watch him play and watch him go through his progressions, he is looking at his first guy. He wants to go to that first read, his second read, but he makes decisive decisions. And you know what? And he's trying to keep the ball out of harm's way. Has his balls got away from him at times? Yes, he's human. But you got to admit, the guy has been playing at a very, very high level.
And he also was on his keister a lot of that game in LA too. I mean, he's pull up his pants. The shoulder pads were all dragged over the place.
He looked a hot mess.
Yeah, man. He was battling.
Oh, yeah. His pants are sagging. His hair. I mean, I was looking, I was like, man, pull your pants up. Why are you sagging out here on the field, man? And he's throwing up on the sideline, dry heaving, eating bananas. Man. I mean, the guy just, he's a competitor, man. And you like to see that from a guy that's had to travel this road. A guy that, come from Alabama, tough quarterback, had success, and you fall off a cliff. And, you try to resurrect your career. You go here and you're not thinking, you think, okay, I'm just going to sit and, hopefully I'll get some play time. He never thought this was coming, but look what he's prepared for this moment. And look what he's not failing in the moment. And that's what you like to see. There's a lot of quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks that come in and it's like, after they get their starting job and they, as a backup, they're pushed in the starting role, you see that the team says, we got to go find the quarterback. They start trying to trade. They try to figure out that second string quarterback position because they really didn't have a good, adequate backup. The 49ers have done a good job making sure they get a good, adequate backup. And Jones showing now that he's just not an adequate backup, but he's showing now why he was a starter in the National Football League.
Well, you look at what Cincinnati did earlier this week. They went out and traded for Joe Flacco. Who Cleveland basically wanted to give away because their backup, who, by the way, won some games for them last year, was just simply not good enough. And I think while it's absolutely surprised me how good Mac Jones has been, the fact that he's gotten to this point this quickly with the guy, it's a reminder that coaching matters, fit matters, system matters, and it also reminds us just how good Kyle Shanahan can be. It's not always just about who the quarterback or the receivers are, because it wasn't just Mac Jones. I mean, his number one receiver was Kendrick Bourne in that Thursday night game. 11 catches, nearly 150 yards. This was a guy they signed off the street a couple weeks ago. Had built-in chemistry from New England with Jones, but for Kyle Shanahan to put players in positions to succeed and allow them to utilize their skill set in his system, I mean, to me, this is, we're talking about the MVP, Mac Jones, that's fine. But Kyle Shanahan absolutely, right now, through 5 weeks, and potentially 6 if they win this football game today, because they are underdogs on the road, he's your NFL Coach of the Year. I mean, what he's done, this might be his finest hour, Low. At least it's early, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, if you're going to give Kyle Shanahan MVP, Coach of the Year, God, then I got to give it to Robert Saleh. See, I mean, it's like, because you've seen the offense, the inability necessary still to score. Still to score over 18, 20 points. They don't score a lot. But what has the defense done? So I understand you might say, and I love Shanny, think he's a great coach, but look what Robert Saleh has done for this defense, because it's not like you're saying he's getting ahead, he's going to get the Coach of the Year.
No.
But the Coach of the Year, you're giving it to Shanahan, but they're not scoring, they're not averaging 24 points or more. They're not averaging 20 points a game. So what is the outlier? Robert Saleh with not a lot of weapons on defense, no superstars because you lost your superstar. Now you have, of course, a linebacker, Freddie Warner, who's still the glue, but you don't have necessarily a bona fide pass rusher. So Robert Saleh to me is the Coach of the Year.
Well, and I think don't they have like coordinator of the year now or something?
Exactly. I'm just
just give it to both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Give it to both of them.
Give it to both of them.
But it's been amazing just to watch this team play team football. And I tell you all the time, and I continue to say it, when you're playing a National Football League, talent will win you football games. You got a bunch of talent, great talent, you'll win some football games. But it takes a team to win a championship. This 49ers team is playing together. Not a lot of bunch of weapons, not a bunch of big-name people, but look at the team concept in which they're playing with. Look at a guy you mentioned, born on the street several weeks ago, but look at this guy step in, and he's playing like a superstar. Amazing.
Well, and I think that's what they proved during that Rams game is that they, as a collective, like the Rams have more talent than them.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
There's no doubt. But what did the Rams not do? They didn't take care of the ball. They didn't capitalize in special teams. They weren't able to execute in big plays down the stretch as much as they needed to. The 49ers made more plays than them, but they also didn't hurt themselves throughout that football game. And that, to me, might be the biggest difference, Lo, between this season and last season. Because I think, yes, last year was, they had injuries and whatnot. Coaching is certainly different. Robert Saleh was a massive pickup. But the talent level isn't, I would say, drastically higher than last year's team.
Right.
They just got hit with a ton of injuries. But seeing the way that they play this year, they're not making the big mistake. They righted their wrongs in special teams. Defensively, they bend but they don't break, and we'll see if that works against a Baker Mayfield-led offense that scores a lot of points today. But offensively, they just don't turn over the ball. I mean, the one thing they have not done this year, though they haven't forced a ton, they haven't got an interception yet, they also haven't given other scoring opportunities to opponents.
Right. And if I asked you who is probably the best team in the AFC, if I gave you on a short list, give me this 2 or 3 teams on a short list.
Buffalo.
Okay, Buffalo. Let's just stay right there. I'm glad you said that. Last week, Buffalo loses the game. Josh Allen throws several crucial interceptions. Turnovers. Go look and see who wins the turnover battle. They're the better team. They lost the turnover battle. Okay, follow me. The Niners played against Jacksonville. You lost the turnover battle and you lost the game. Football is not going to change. 90% of the time, if you win the turnover battle, you usually win the football game. This Niner team is not necessarily a great team and doesn't have necessarily all the greatest players. But if they don't turn the ball over and the way that their defense and they play complementary football, you win football games. They'll beat the Rams. Why? Because the Rams lost the turnover battle to the Niners.
Exactly. In crucial spots on the goal line, they had a chance to go win that game, and Kyron Williams coughs it up at the 1-yard line.
Football won't change. And it's everyone says, no, it's very simple. You take care of the football. You play with mistake-free. Don't make a lot of mistakes. Self-inflicted wounds. Hold on to the football. You're going to win football games. And that is a prime example, watching the way Jacksonville's been winning games, played against the Chiefs, turnover battle. When you don't turn the ball over and you stay consistent, it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat teams. And even if you're a bad team, if you're not a great team, and you make less mistakes, you come out winning.
And it does beg the question, are the 49ers for real? And I also want to get people in here today as we lead you up until the 1 o'clock, 125 kickoff between San Francisco and Tampa Bay. 888-957-9570. I mean, this is the question I think everyone has been wanting an answer to. Are the 49ers for real? And if they win this game, they come back home for a Sunday night matchup, which, oh, by the way, you can still grab spots on a free shuttle for at Laughing Monk, which is where I will be along with Lorenzo Neal next week, next Sunday, starting at 3 o'clock for the 5:15 Sunday Night Football kickoff at Laughing Monk Brewing in Sunnyvale. 957thegame.com. Click on the kickoff show graphic and then the Eventbrite link to sign up today. Are the 49ers for real? Lorenzo Neal, how would you answer that question if I posed that to you? They're 4-1. They're one of the 6 squads, there's probably 7 squads that are 4-1. Are they for real?
I would say yes. And people say, well, you look at their schedule and the strength of schedule. Arizona is probably not a playoff team. You look at Seattle. Is Seattle a playoff team? I don't know. Seattle has beaten some teams. They played up. They played down. So you look at them. But then you look at the Rams. The Rams are a team that I said was going to win the NFC West. So I have to say everything is pointing this team is for real. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't make a lot. They don't have a lot of turnovers. And when they do have a lot of turnovers, they lost that game. But you watch the way this team is playing, you have to say they're for real. In spite of all the outliers, there's a lot of negative outliers that says this team's not for real. For one, hadn't gotten an interception, longest streak in the NFL. 2, haven't had a 100-yard rusher, haven't had over 100 yards rushing in several games combined as a whole offensive unit. Inefficiency at times on third down. So on defense, doesn't get after the rusher, doesn't get after the passer, has not, generated a bunch of sacks, a bunch of pressure. Have to play basic defense because you don't want to mess up the secondary. So, at times you got to gamble. So when you think about all the outliers, it says this team is not for real and it shouldn't be in this position. when are the Band-Aid? When is the dam going to break? But my eyes see something else. I see a team that's fighting. I see a team that, that finds a way on crucial situations, get a punch out, a la the rookie punches out the ball against the Rams. So when you look at this team on fourth down against the Rams decide let's end this in overtime. We're going to go for it on fourth down against the Bay team and said, let's go for it. And the Niners defense bow their neck and they get a stop. Had 11 guys running to the ball. So I have to say they're for real because they're for real when they have to be for real.
And I think you touched on it, which is why if you watch this team for the full 60 minutes, they do seem for real. But if you're looking at it from a bird's eye view, if you're taking a look at what their stats are, the backup quarterback being in, the fact that they have injuries, and they are getting one guy back today, Malik Mustafa, who's coming off a good rookie season last year. On paper, this is a team that you would say they're eventually going to fall off.
Right.
But watching the first 5 games, they easily could be 5-0. And
they should be 5-0,
They should
right?
be 5-0. I mean, you could also make the case on the other hand, they could be 1-4.
Yeah.
With some of those games that they came out on top of. But almost in those crucial moments, in those gotta have it spots, and this is where this football team is eons different than last year, and it continues to look more like a blip on the radar than anything else. You're almost expecting them to make a play. And it isn't necessarily, all right, I know Fred's going to go get the ball here. I know he's going to make a tackle. It could be Marcus Siegel, who came up and made that big hit to stop Kyron Williams on fourth down. Like you said, Alfred Collins, their rookie, who hasn't been playing necessarily great, but he made the biggest play defensively of that football game. Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne, Jake Tonjes, who's been filling in for George Kittle. A lot of these guys who, coming into the season, he's a backup. If he's on the field, we're in trouble. And now it's not necessarily that he's on the field, but one guy is going to make a play, and it might not just be the McCaffreys and the Warners.
Yeah, and you and I, we talked about it at length last year. They played against Arizona, the Cardinals. You and I were at that game. We watched the inability for the team to, be able to score and get the ball back. Arizona took the ball at the end of the game and shoved it down their throat, and they couldn't get off the field. All they needed was a stop, and they win the game because the Niners were winning. They couldn't do it. This year, we've seen the same situation. The Niners need to get a stop to win the game, to get the ball back and score. So stakes are even higher.
Yeah.
And they found a way. You're watching this team play in a manner which they have to play from behind to get the ball to score, and they're doing it, man. And that's what's crazy. They're doing it.
And even you got a guy, technically he's a backup kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, that's come in. It's a 59-yard field goal in that football game when they needed it. I mean, that's what, everyone is making a play right now for the Niners. And to me, Lo, I do think that that's something that is a bit unquantifiable and contagious in the NFL. It's one of the reasons why we're seeing, and we'll talk about it more extensively as we roll on here, but why there's so many upsets around the NFL. You mentioned Buffalo. They go down to New England. New England looks like a good team, but they're certainly not as good as Buffalo. They went into their house and beat them for the first time at home, a loss for Buffalo since 2023. You think about what the Denver Broncos did last week in Philadelphia. Down 14 points in the fourth quarter, Bo Nix has his coming out party. Probably the biggest win of his young career. You think about the Niners obviously beating the Rams, but every single team so far that's been successful, I think the Colts and the Niners are the two teams that probably stand out the most. The two teams that have played the most complementary football.
Yeah, I think that when you talk about teams that are playing complementary and finding a way to win, the Niners are doing it, and they're doing it with consistency. I think that when you talk about different teams around the league that's playing consistent and people don't even talk about them, I think the Niners are one, but another team that people aren't talking about, that they may be one of the better teams in the AFC, Indianapolis Colts. How about these Jones quarterbacks that we keep talking about?
The Joneses.
They're Jones, brother. They are making it happen for their each prospective team. So the Niners, they're playing efficient. They're playing with great consistency. They're not making a lot of mistakes. They're finding a way to win ball games. And that's why you got to say that they're for real, and they'll continue to be for real. Today's going to be the biggest test yet. Yeah, the Rams was a big game, but you go to Tampa Bay on the road and find a way to win that game, that's huge.
Well, and especially it'd be huge for your backup quarterback. It's huge for a potential quarterback decision that the 49ers are going to have to make. And that's something I do want to dig into, as we come back on the other side. We're going to hear from Steve Young. We're going to hear from Drew Bledsoe. We're going to hear from Greg Cosell. We're going to hear from the great Tony Dungy about what the 49ers are to do at the quarterback position. Mac Jones, we've talked about it through the first segment, has been utterly spectacular. He might be the MVP of this football team right now. Probably is, with what he's been able to do with the cast of characters, with the short week against the Rams, signature victory of the season. He's been unbeaten. And so is that a decision right now for the Niners? If they win today, how does that impact them? That's what we're going to talk about coming up as we roll on here on the Kickoff Show. That's Lorenzo Neal. My name is Evan Giddings. Stephen Risotto also, by the way, in the house. Make sure to sign up for our upcoming Kickoff Show in Sunnyvale at Laughing Monk Brewing next Sunday, 3 o'clock start for a Sunday night football matchup with the Atlanta Falcons. Got great food, great drinks, great games. In the parking lot, we have a free shuttle back and forth to the stadium, but it is filling up, though. So, limited availability right now. You can go to 957thegame.com, click on the Kickoff Show graphic, and click on the Eventbrite link to sign up today. That's all you have to do. We sold out one bus last week, had a second one come in. Laughing Monk, it's a ton of fun. If you don't want to go to the game, or if you're not, just hang around, grab a pop, watch the game, get some wings, and enjoy the company. We'll both be there. Evan Giddings, Lorenzo Neal, next Sunday at 3 o'clock. Again, the Kickoff Show at Laughing Monk Brewing in Sunnyvale. We'll be back after this on 95.7 The Game.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-888-5226. 800-888-5226. 800-888-5226.
1-877-CARS for kids. K-A-R-S, Cars for kids. 1-877-CARS for kids. Donate your car today. 1-877-CARS for kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877-CARS for kids. K-A-R-S, Cars for kids. 1-877-CARS for kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Straight Talk, we get it. You say no a lot.
Mom, can I get a tarantula? No. Coffee?
No. So we're giving you more reasons to say yes, like a free 5G phone with real unlimited data with select plan activation.
Can I use the free phone?
Yes. See? Doesn't it feel good to say yes to more?
Absolutely. Face tattoo?
Absolutely not. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. In-store activation of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Now back to the Kickoff Show on 95.7 The Game.
Lo, can you answer me this question?
Talk to me.
Why is it so hard to just hold the ball all the way through the end zone? Why is it so hard to just cup it, keep it, and then when you get to the back of the end zone, then you can dance and you can stun, you can kiss the fans, you can touch the you can do whatever you want. Why is it so hard to keep the ball through the end zone for some of these guys?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I mean, watching these guys with the ball, before they get in the end zone, being so lackadaisical, and just holding the ball out, dropping it on the one, thinking that you're in, get in the end zone, run in the end zone, run to the back of the end zone, then drop it. You're too cool that you got to just get close and just throw the ball down. It's got to just be so tough for the team and the coaches. Because I'm going to tell you right now, coaches, players, they don't feel sorry for you. I mean, they'll go up and say, man, it's all right, let it go. No, man. Why? If you go out there, and I'd have the coach say, let's go back to Pop Warner, let's go back to Pee Wee, let's talk about just football from the beginning every time you played it. You played some football, you played in grade school, if you have the ball and they give you the ball, and if you say, you know what, you put the ball down and you take off running, where's everyone going to go? Are they going to chase you? They're going to go where you put the ball. If you have the ball and you put the ball on the ground and you keep running, you say, I'm putting the ball here. Now I'm going to go score a touchdown. I get the ball, I put it on the ground, and I take off running. No one cares where the hell you run into. They're going to go get the ball because it's not about you. It's about the football. So when you see guys drop the ball, they run in the end zone. After they drop the ball, they go in the end zone. They do their dance. No one's even thinking about them. Guys are running to go get the ball. They think it's still in the field of play. The guys are saying, what are they doing? It's not about you. And so all this dancing and gyrating and acting like you're too cool, get in the friggin' end zone because it's not about you. So that's the whole thing. These guys, and they get all sad, and they start hitting the bench and doing all those stuff. That's pity party. No, I don't care. I could see if you're running, boom, you get a holding call. Okay, I can see, boom, you're offsides every now and then. I can see, bam, okay, bam, I blocked the guy low. Okay, still. That is just a guy beat you, so you hold him. That can be understood. That's something you can get. That's something you can live with. But when these guys are getting in the end zone before they get in the end zone, and they turn it into a charade about themselves, and they disregard football, they disregard their team, they disregard everything of the fans, and you make it about yourself. That's selfish. That is watching this happen. It's my pet peeve, and I think it's very, very selfish of these individuals. College level, pro level, high school level, it doesn't matter. It's very selfish, and you're stuck on about you, and it's no place for that in the game. And that's why you see these guys and you see these teams. It's just horrible when I see it happen.
Well, and it's happened each of the last 2 weeks, or at least twice this season. You had Adonai Mitchell for the Indianapolis Colts, who pretty much cost them the game against the Rams.
Yep.
And then Amari DiMercato for the Arizona Cardinals takes it 70-plus yards to the house, drops it at the goal line, and the Carolina Panthers end up coming from behind and beating Arizona.
Yeah.
Those are also the types of losses, specifically for the Cardinals, more so than Indianapolis. They put it behind them, and they hung 40 on the Raiders the next week. But that's the kind of loss that can also really that could cost you a playoff spot.
No,
I mean, if you're a team like Arizona, you're not really in a great position. You're playing week to week. Now you got your quarterback out. Like, that's a win that you look at down the road and saying, is that where our season turned for the worse? And so I am kind of with you. I did think it was a little much for the head coach.
To put his hands on a guy?
Yeah, to put his hands on it. But I will say this. The frustration on him, I think, was representative of the entire team because he cost his team the game.
Yeah. Now putting your hands on a guy, that I wouldn't do. I get that. Coach is frustrating. His job's on the line. It's still direct. It's a direct indicator of the coach. So the coach saying, you make me look bad. I put you in the game. I don't understand it at all. You hit a player, grab a player. Because you got to be careful. These are grown men.
Yeah.
You might end up with a 5-piece on you or a 10-piece. You might be sipping soup through a straw. So you might be eating your dinner through a straw. So you don't want to touch a guy, especially after he's done a dumb thing like that. He's already embarrassed enough.
Yeah.
I think you go and still say, you still can get on and discipline, talk about it, but you don't
get undressed in front of the team is not.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, it's no place for that. But yeah, it's been crazy, brother, to see it happen, coaching that. But just to watch those plays, like you're saying, and watching guys do it and costing their ball teams, costing them, losses. When you see it happen, man, you're just like, wow, because it's hard in the National Football League. You've been watching. We see these games. It's hard to get points. It's hard to score touchdowns, especially when you get a long one like that, 60, 70, 80 yards, those house calls, and now all for nothing. You show that. You go show that. Oh, you're like, man, I scored an 80-yard touchdown. I want you to see it. Go put it on your highlight. Now you got to show your kid in 10 years. Go show your kid. Go. Oh, I'm gonna show my dad. I want to get. You don't want to put that play on because they're gonna look at you. What are you thinking here?
Yeah.
So you just erase your history. So it's so selfish of an act. You got me fired up. I can't talk about it anymore. Sorry about that.
Well, no, and you're right too. It's like a lot of people are going to remember you for that play when
the Leon Lett. Still,
all these guys are great athletes, but it comes down to just one, like you said, selfish play.
Selfish, very selfish, and we've seen it year in and year out, and it's too bad because. Hell of a play. Kudos to those guys that worked hard to get in the end zone. All for nothing because you didn't get in the end zone. No pun intended.
And you gave it to the other team because you fumbled through the back of the end zone. Unreal.
Exactly.
All right, Evan, getting Lorenzo Neal. This is the kickoff show. Getting you set for San Francisco and Tampa Bay. 125 kick in Tampa Bay.
They moved it. You and I would have been here. You and I would have been friggin' in here a lot earlier.
Crack of dawn.
But they moved it. Game of the week. What went behind that? The league still. So that just goes to show you're talking about, is this team for real? We know the Tampa Bay's for real. Tampa Bay, they're gutsy. They fight. I think these two teams are similar in the way in which they play with the guts and the pizzazz. Tampa's, of course, got more defensive weapons. They get a lot more turnovers. But Baker Mayfield. He just makes that team go. His heart, his scramble, how hard he runs, how hard he plays. He can take a big hit. He's like a Timex. He take a licking and keep on ticking. He gets right back up. So these two teams are fighters. Two teams that are fighter. And it's great that the league said, hey, look, let's flex these guys out at 10 a.m. and let's put them on prime time today. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and they're both teams that have probably snatched victory from the jaws of defeat more than any other team in the NFL. Tampa Bay is a team that has won all 4 games in the final minute of all 4 of their wins. They're 4-1, and they're the only team, aside from the Niners, that has a lower point differential with 4 wins.
Right.
So the Niners are a team that's made a bunch of plays. Tampa Bay has done the same. I mean, their game last week against Seattle, absolute shootout, 38-35.
Oh, boy.
There was not a single stop in the second half. It's like you're playing Madden with your buddy. Like, it just comes down to who has the ball last. And more often than not, it's been Baker Mayfield. And so that's where, Mac Jones has made a couple of plays for the Niners. He's got 2 game-winning drives. Baker Mayfield's got 4 of them things in the 4 wins.
Yeah, it's crazy because we both alluded to both these teams could be 1-4, or they can be 4-1, and both of them are 4-1. So it's just interesting how they both got here. They both have found ways to win games at the end. They both found the ways to make a needed defensive play, and the defense stands tall. They've done it on both sides of the ball. Both these teams have. And you look at these two quarterbacks in which the path in which both of them has had to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield hasn't had it that easy either. Here's a guy that was thrown away, lost in the league. People said he's done, washed, goes to the Rams, gets a couple starts to see what he did, go to other places, bounced around, Cleveland, all these different things. But look at him now, standing tall, standing proud. It's unbelievable. He's another great story. And it's interesting. I think if you talk about the NFL, I know we get back to, I know we tease the audience about talking about what do you do at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
I get that, and you've got some great clips that you're going to play for us. But isn't this year, the NFL, isn't it about the resurgence of the backups, the tread quarterbacks? If you think about what's going on, how many of these quarterbacks, the Bakers, think about where they're at. Look at not the Commanders, but you think about who's else is in the NFC West. I'm slipping my mind right. Seattle.
Sam Darnold.
Darnold. Think about look at Jones over in Indy. Think about these quarterbacks. Also, think about today Tampa Bay's quarterback. Think about all these quarterbacks who were starters that went to backup, that went to just clipboard players, and now look at them now. So I think this league this year, the NFL, it's about a lot of these second chances for these quarterbacks.
And I think it's because the elite of the elites, like the top four guys, right? Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, Burrow. Mahomes has not been statistically great going on. Now, last season, he was not statistically great. They won a lot of games, got to the Super Bowl, obviously. Burrow's now going to be out for most of the year. Allen and Lamar have both been good, but now Lamar's out. It does feel like there is some room for, all right, well, who's playing well right now? And you might make a case that Baker Mayfield is playing better than any other quarterback in the NFL with the clutch kinds of games that he is winning. He's got almost 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's been the engine for a team that doesn't have Mike Evans, that won't have Chris Godwin again today and only came back from last week. They don't have their starting running back in Bucky Irving. They don't have their starting right tackle. They are in a similar position to the Niners outside of the quarterback position. But Baker Mayfield, similar to Mac, is doing a lot with less.
Who is so if you talked about, let's just talk about, stay with quarterbacks. Yeah. Don't include D linemen or offensive players, just the quarterbacks. Who's MVP? Give me your top can. You're saying Baker's right there. You think he's one of those guys right now that you'd have to consider for the MVP?
Baker Mayfield is absolutely in consideration. I think even someone like, and it's surprising, but someone like Dak Prescott is playing really well for the Dallas Cowboys.
Does that record hurt Dak? Or he's playing well, yeah.
He's playing well.
Where do you put Jones? What about the Jones brothers?
If Jones wins today, that's something that's going to be undeniable.
What about the other Jones in Indianapolis? Would you say that he's MVP? Would you think about?
He's in the conversation. I also think Sam Darnold is.
Yeah,
with their start in Seattle.
Right.
I think to your point though, it's not the typical, and Josh Allen's obviously in the conversation.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not just the main four guys and everybody else. It feels like there's the hierarchy's been reordered this year through 5 games, and going on week 6, obviously, it's been because of injury. It's been because of inconsistent play from some of the elites, but it's also been because of new locations and different fits being correct for those retreads we're talking about. I don't mean that in a disrespectful term.
No,
but they're getting their second opportunities.
Brother, if you think about it, if you exclude Josh Allen and just say, hey, who's gonna get MVP, it will be a retread. It's going to be. You think about the quarterback position, because we know how everyone talks about the quarterback. You think about it, and if Brock is injured the rest of the year, and they say, look, we're going to shut him down, put him on IR, go get another defensive lineman or go get an offensive weapon and say, let's ride with Jones, and he plays well, he's in that conversation. I think you have to really look at it and say, man, Mac Jones is really in the conversation. If he plays with the numbers he put up and stay consistent, this team wins. You would have to put him, the Jones guys, the Jones brothers,
yeah,
and you would have to, Baker Mayfield, what he's been able to do, you would have to throw him in there.
I think he's in the conversation also because, too, the one game he didn't play where they clearly rushed Brock Purdy back too early against Jacksonville, he didn't look healthy to me. The turf toe was impacting him. Didn't have spice on a ball that already doesn't have great velocity on it. wasn't able to run as fast as he normally can, wasn't elusive. I think if Mac Jones starts that football game, they are 5-0. They are undefeated. And that's another part about this, too, as we transition into the Niners and their sort of quarterback situation that they're having to handle. I do believe that Mac Jones would be orchestrating a 4-0 record, would be conducting a 4-0 record for this Niners team if they had gone with him over Brock Purdy. And I also think, Lo, that's a big reason why what Mac Jones has done so far is why there is no hesitation about what you do right now. You ride the hot hand. And if I was to ask you how you would describe the 49ers quarterback situation right now, how would you do it?
Yeah, I'm with you. You ride the hot hand. Mac Jones, if you think, okay, you look at their record, if he plays against Jacksonville, no disrespect to Purdy, throws 2 interceptions, fumbles the ball, steps up in the pocket in the game, ball gets stripped from him, they win that football game. It is clear and evident to me that if Mac Jones plays right now, they are undefeated. And Purdy, when he's healthy and all things are going well, yes, he's a better quarterback as far as being able to mobility. But Mac Jones, when you watch him in the pocket, his ability to still stay in the pocket and because he's a little taller in stature, to be able to pump the ball down the field, and he can throw the ball down the field in the middle of the field as well. He's a guy that can make every throw. Yeah, you'd like to see him be a little bit more mobile because, you need a guy that can make some things happen with their legs, and he necessarily is not that type of a quarterback. But you have to admit, this guy has been efficient, he's been dominant, and he's played with great consistency. So I think he's earned the right of Kyle Shanahan for Shanahan to say, no, Purdy, we're going to keep you. If your foot continues to be, I'm not going to rush you back. There's no need. I did that before, and it cost us a ball game. Mac Jones has earned that right. Mac Jones has earned the right to be the starter for the San Francisco 49ers until Purdy's 100%, not 80, not 75, because Purdy at 70, 80%, Mac Jones is better, and he's shown that he is.
Well, and someone who knows a little something about quarterback, the backup, the starting position, going back and forth, none other than a Super Bowl champ is Steve Young. He was on with Willard Dibs earlier this week. Here's how he described the quarterback situation.
It's awkward, but it's pleasantly awkward. Like, everyone involved is going to behave and do things good. Well, they're not going to. There's a good locker room. It's a good quarterback room. But it's just inevitable that, and I think the awkwardness brings out the best in both of them. Mac will support Brock 1,000%. Brock will support Mac 1,000%. That's just who they are. And so the awkwardness is going to be to the benefit of the 49ers. They just have to withstand all of the chat and the chitter chat that goes on. It's going to make it harder. It makes it hard to, because it's going to, every day they're going to try to make it controversial, something that's toxic, something that derails the success of the team, derails our ability to go win a championship, and they'll just make it feel and sound terrible. And people just have to live through it and say, no, it's not terrible. It's awkward, but it's creative, it's positive, and we're getting the best out of both of them. And they're just going to have to shout that back at all the places, because I think no matter what, people will try to get under people's skin, try to peck at it, and make it a problem.
Well, he's a guy that talks from experience.
Yeah.
This is a Hall of Famer, Steve Young. And, he was chomping at the bit to get in there and be the quarterback because, he wanted to surpass, arguably the greatest quarterback that played, Joe Montana. So he understands about that. And guess what? Guys on the team, there was some loyal people in Montana's camp. There were some loyal people in Young's camp. There were some people that thought Montana should still be the starter. There was guys on that team that thought that Young should be the starter. And he was being as real. He said it was awkward, but all the guys knew that either guy could help you win, and either guy could win at any time. So he understands that, and he acknowledges that. He says it's awkward, but it's a good awkward. Right now, pretty much what he's saying is like, look, you ride with this backup guy. You ride with him because he gives you the best chance to win. He's playing very, very efficient. He's making plays. Why would you jeopardize the winning opportunity that you have with the guy that's healthy than the guy that's not healthy?
And I think he's talking about egos. I mean, you got to put your ego to the side for the betterment of the football team.
And Brock's that type of guy.
Yeah,
but
I think they both are.
They both are. But and he said that they would both put that aside. But you have to realize, if you're Brock Purdy, and you see this and you're like, doggone it, I just been through this and now I got my opportunity. And look at this guy. See, Mac Jones is Brock Purdy. You see what I'm saying? Here's a guy right now that said, I'm playing the role of Brock Purdy. Hey, when guys got healthy, Purdy said, I'm keeping your butt on the bench. Mac Jones right now has given the 49ers the opportunity to say, Brock, I know you just got paid. Guess what? Consider this a vacation year. Get paid. You got plenty of money. You know what? Just keep sipping the Mai Tais. We're okay right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, right now he's sipping something with Advil in it. He's trying to get that foot right, that turf toe. You know, I do think, thank you, Stephen. Might have one in a couple hours.
Right.
I think that the thing right now is he's right. Steve Young is right. It is pleasantly awkward. But a win today on the road against a 4-1 squad moves it closer towards being just awkward. You know what I mean? Like that pleasant, that little pleasant adjective right before, it just makes it awkward. Because what do? I'm with you right now. To me, you roll ahead with Mac Jones when Brock Purdy is 100%, undoubtedly, certainly 100% healthy. He is your quarterback. But each and every game you give Mac Jones is another opportunity for him to prove that not he's your franchise quarterback, that he's the quarterback of your future, but that he's the quarterback that's best served right now for this football team.
Hey, you saw what happened, brother, last year. Look no further than Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
You had a guy that they drafted first round, and he's like, you know that's going to be the future. But Minnesota said, I'm going to stay with this backup. I'm not going to rush this young kid to come back or try to get him back healthy real quick to bring him. Like, no, we're fine. This is a situation where Brock Purdy is the quarterback. So you asked me, get back as I digressed and went around the circle, and now we're coming back to what the question was. What do you do at the quarterback position? Right now, for me, Cal Shanahan, Jim, if I'm Cal Shanahan or if I'm, my good buddy John Lynch, I'm riding with Mac Jones. And here's the thing. I just tell everyone, just simmer down. Purdy's our quarterback. But I'm going to tell you what, I would ride him. I wouldn't say if he loses a game, go with Purdy. No, I'm saying this guy right now is playing good football. What's wrong with letting him ride the year? He's going to be, now you have a piece. Is he on a 2-year deal, 1-year deal?
2-year deal.
He's on a 2-year deal. You have a trade asset that you have. Let him play. You want him to do, because it's helping. There's a lot of things that this Niner team can be looking at and think of this as a blessing. You got a quarterback that teams are chomping at the bit to get. You still have control for a year. I got Cleveland on the phone right now. Think about it. So if you look at it like that and then you say, okay, we understand our Hall of Fame, our first ballot tackle will be a first ballot Hall of Fame. Big Trey, you know that. Hall of Fame tackle, but he's getting older.
Mm-hmm.
You watch him play, he's getting older. He's still one of the better tackles, but how much time do you have? Can you use this quarterback next year as an offseason to get, before the draft, to get some trade capital? Can you use this guy to bring in another, lineman or defensive pass rusher because your team is hurting? So I think that this is not a bad thing. I think this is a good thing.
Well, it's great for the 49ers because they're winning football games. The thing about it, too, that gets lost a little bit in this, I think where the NFL is different from the NBA and Major League Baseball is obviously the amount of games. And so that means that the hot hand, it's not a fallacy. Like, it absolutely applies. And the reason why I think, Lo, is because you owe it also to the other 52 guys. It's not just about the quarterback and preserving his ego or his pride. It's about giving the rest of the men out there that are putting life and limb on the line every single play the best opportunity to win. You see some of these teams, and we talk about it all the time. You either get better or you get worse.
Right.
And I think a lot of times teams get worse because you're taking punishment for what? To go out there and lose every single week? The Jets are going to be 0-6 now. That's a football team that's not going anywhere. And I'm sure a lot of guys in that locker room are wondering, what am I doing this for this year? Because we're not winning football games. I think that conversely is where the Niners are of, well, we can't go away from Mac Jones because he's helping us win. He right now makes the San Francisco 49ers the best version of themselves. And it's because Brock's hurt. It's an opportunity that Mac Jones has taken by the reins. And that, to me, is the most important part of where they are this season. I think it's been really difficult for me to look at each game beyond its singular entity because of the injuries, because they've won some games in fantastic fashion. I think that's how we have to approach the quarterback situation as well. I'm not saying that Mac Jones should be the starter for the rest of the season, but until this guy loses a football game, I don't even know how you consider going back to Purdy.
Well, look at the Niners and how they got here. When you talk about Purdy, like I said, Mac Jones is playing to Purdy. You saw a quarterback. You had Trey. You had different guys that they said, no, we're not going back. So I now I understand the capital and all the draft and all the things that you have in Purdy. I agree. But it's a situation where you're right now, you have a guy that's in rhythm, a guy that's playing well, and you know that this turf toe is going to linger around. He's going to always have to, do something for this toe this year. Get him healthy. Make sure he's healthy. If something happens, it's later on in the year, then of course you go to Purdy because he's a guy you invested in. I get it, but I'm in no hurry, and it's not about just it depends on how they lose games. If my quarterback's not the person or individual, the one who made me lose that game right now, why take Mac Jones out? Purdy against Jacksonville didn't help them win the game, but he helped them lose the game. And here's the deal. Purdy's a good quarterback. We know what Purdy can do. But against Jacksonville, he lost that game.
He did.
I mean, and he'll tell you you can't turn the ball over. I'm not saying he by himself again, but you are the guy. You are the trigger handler. You are the thermostat. You are the thing that makes this team go. You throw 2 interceptions, and at the end of the game, you have an opportunity to drive down to win the game, and you fumble it again, get it stripped. All not on you, but you can't do that as the leader of this team. He did not put his team in a position to win. So I don't know if I'm not comfortable right now going back to Purdy.
888-957-9570 is the number. This is the Kickoff Show. Evan Giddings, Lorenzo O'Neill with you. How would you describe the 49ers quarterback situation? And what would you be doing right now? This obviously all precedes 90 minutes away, the kickoff between San Francisco and Tampa Bay. A battle of 4-1s. It's the game of the week. Lo said it, got flexed to this spot. Everyone wants to see these two teams on prime time. And if the Niners and Mac Jones can continue to remain perfect, they're 3-0 with Mac Jones. Baker Mayfield has 4 game-winning drives in the final minute of a game. It's supposed to be a great back-and-forth potential shootout. What's going to happen? And how does that impact the quarterback situation? How would you describe it? 888-957-9570. The Kickoff Show here on 95.7. The Game continues after this.
I spent 14 years in foster care, mostly in group homes. I slept in a lot of different rooms, but none of them really felt like mine.
There are more than 100,000 children in foster care waiting to be adopted. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is working to help find them a permanent home.
Now I have my own room, a place that's mine, and a family who loves and supports me.
If you have room in your home or your heart, see how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
See comedian Daniel Tosh performing live at the Masonic in San Francisco on November 29th. The first show sold out and the second was just added. Buy tickets at livenation.com. For your chance to win a pair of tickets to the second show, enter online at 957thegame.com.
This is Larry Flick, owner of The Floor Store. Leaves are falling, and so are our prices. Welcome to the Floor Store's Fall Sale. Now through October 14th. Get up to 50% off store-wide on carpet, hardwood, laminate, waterproof flooring, and much more. Plus 2 years interest-free financing. And we pay your sales tax. The Floor Store's Fall Sale. There's just one thing. It ends Tuesday. Go to floorstores.com to find the nearest of our 10 showrooms, from Santa Rosa to San Jose. The Floor Store, your Bay Area flooring authority.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
Hey, Bay Area, slam dunk and save lives with Stanford Blood Center. Donate blood during October, and you'll be automatically entered to win tickets to the Golden State Warriors game on Christmas Day. Every time you donate, you could help up to 3 people, bringing strength and support to individuals and families when they need it most. This is our way of saying thank you for being a hero in your community. Visit StanfordBloodCenter.org to learn more and schedule your donation today. That's StanfordBloodCenter.org.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Now back to the Kickoff Show on 95.7 The Game.
Evan Giddings, Lorenzo Neal taking you up until 125. Week 6, Niners at Bucks, a battle of 4-1s. And, you know, the Mac Jones story, it's been great. And if they win today, Lo, it has a chance to get better because did you know that if Mac Jones wins a 4th game today, he unlocks a $400,000 incentive built into his contract?
What?
He might get paid if they win today.
That sucker might throw for 800 yards today. Man, if he wins today. You know what? I can appreciate that back there on the turntables, baby. That is big. I hope he gets it, man. I remember having contracts like that where they're incentive-based, not likely to be made. He could have probably put $1 million in there, and they would have probably put it in there.
Yeah, like if you win 4 games as a backup, sure, we'll pay you. He's like, well, I'm not going to get 4 games.
Right,
but.
so paying him $100,000, play him $100,000 a game that he wins. It's interesting because I remember playing with the Saints. Jim Everett, was my quarterback there. And I remember I had incentive, catch 25 balls. I think I got $20,000. Catch 35, you got like 50. My base at the time was only like $120,000 anyway. So you're talking about I could make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 during half my salary by catching passes. I remember taking Jim, I'm thinking like 4 passes away last game of the season from hitting that $60,000 bonus or whatever it was, probably a little more north of that. I go to his house that Monday. I bring a case of beer. We're sitting there watching Monday Night Football, getting drunk. I said, Jim, I need this, man. He said, Lolo. And so we sat there. We talked during the half the night. I pretty much slept on his couch, and I talked to him all week. And, we checked down Charlie, and the game comes on Sunday. I'm like, man, I want this incentive. Jim just gave me the little week before the game. I got you, bud. Got you, Lolo. Man, I think I caught like 7 passes for like 3 yards, minus 10 yards. He was just throwing it to me, dumping it down where I could make sure I got my incentive. So I know what my man's going through. Mac, congratulations. Hope he gets it today.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more riding on than what was riding on for me. 400 smackaroos. That's a good payday. But I tell you right now, he's earned it. Well, the kid has earned it.
And it reminds me a little bit of, so Baker Mayfield last year going into week 17, which is, incentive week, right? Everybody's trying to get those last numbers. Baker Mayfield had into his contract, if he finished in the top 10 in the NFL or top 5 in the NFC in, I think it was passer rating, touchdown passes, passing yards, completion percentage, and yards per pass. Top 10 in any of those in the league, top 5 in the NFC, he would get $500,000 per category.
Oh, boy.
And the Bucks let him play week 17, even though they were already in the playoffs and had won the division. They let him play week 17 so that he could cash in a couple of extra. So I think that kind of stuff, it matters to players. And Baker Mayfield, look, obviously he's He's made a bunch of cash in the NFL, but the trust from your team, like they want you to succeed. So I hope that Mac Jones is able to win today. Yes, because the Niners would love to be 5-1, but also because you just want to see guys like that rewarded. Even if it isn't financially, in this case it is, you just want to see them rewarded for their hard work, because what Mac Jones has done this season, there's not a single soul that covers the NFL, maybe not even a single solo in that locker room, that would have told you that if Mac Jones gets 4 games to start this season, he's going to win all 4 of them. Because if he does today, that's what he's done.
Yeah, there's not a single soul that thought that this was going to happen. Now, they didn't think that this was going to happen, but I tell you what, watching practice and preseason and probably training camp, I imagine some of those guys on that team said, okay, this guy can play. You hear some of those guys in that locker room saying the swag that he has, the way that he jokes around. You watched him in training camp. You watch his bravado. He was a leader. This guy came in here as a leader. He came in and he's a professional. You got to realize when you go play for Belichick and Belly and that organization, the Patriots, that is, guys get picked up not only because they can play, but they get picked up for their leadership and they get picked up for what they've learned. So you got to realize Mac Jones knows how to practice. He knows how to prepare. He's been under so much pressure in pressure situations with the Patriots and the awkwardness that the Belichick and that organization put you in. So he's been prepared for this moment. Yeah, he was lacking maybe the weapons and maybe lacking the skill set to take this Patriots team where they wanted to go and where they thought he should have took them. But the guy started 50-some games in the league. The guy's been to a playoffs. He has had winning seasons. So he wasn't never just a potato chip. This guy's been a decent little player. So I think he's prepared for this moment. He's earned this right. And gosh, by golly, I hope he gets this.
And as for today, here's what he's going to be working with. Some of the inactives and injury updates for you. The 49ers will be without Ricky Pearsall, out for a second consecutive week. Juwan Jennings, who was out last week, looking like he is going to play today. Obviously, Kittle remains out, on track hopefully to return week 7. That's next week against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be without their right tackle. Yeah. They're without Bucky Irving, the starting running back, and without both wide receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Baker Mayfield has made do without them. Emeka Egbuka, rookie out of Ohio State, has been unbelievable so far.
Huge.
And that's a guy that I'm sure we'll see a lot of today. But one thing we are also getting into, yes, the quarterback situation is something that the 49ers have to manage, but I do want to listen to Steve Young talk about those that want to run Brock Purdy out of town. Because to me, 2 things can be true. Brock Purdy can be your quarterback of the future, and Mac Jones can be your quarterback of the present until Brock Purdy is healthy. So here's Steve Young talking to some of the fans who want to get Brock Purdy out of here.
Brock was elite in 23, and last year was hard. It's hard on everybody. I mean, I bet Kyle would say I was kind of 6-10, and Brock was kind of 6-10, and a lot of players were missing, and it was like all this stuff. But what happened is both Brock and Kyle and the personalities, I'm gonna do whatever I can, and so you overdo it, and you could see him trying to do too much, and that caused him to start to make mistakes that he wouldn't normally make. And so the mistakes through the year, and that's what you saw this season a little bit, was something's not. We were throwing a couple interceptions a game, and last season was a lot more mistakes. Then it feels like there's a pattern emerging, and injuries are part of it, and the team that's available is a part of it. And so that's the rigor of being the big paid starting franchise quarterback. Like, welcome. That's who you are. That's what you are. And so that's part of the challenge.
Yeah, and I think it's fair low for people to have concerns because the money hasn't kicked in yet for Purdy. He's got 5 years that he was given this last summer. And I don't think I'm ready yet to say that, it was a bad deal or whatnot, but I do understand why people, the ones that were saying, well, you could wait. Well, you don't have to do it now. Those are the people that right now I think are having some buyer's remorse, if you will, about Brock Purdy.
And that's what Steve Young's saying, rightfully so. Maybe some's due and some's not due. Some's just and some's not unjust. We know that Purdy, it's not lack of effort, it's not lack of want to, and it's not lack of being prepared. But like Steve Young was alluding to, just talking about it, sometimes you overdo it, you overthink it, you're trying too hard, trying to make things happen. I think Brock believes in Shanahan, and Shanahan believes in him. And at times, Brock believes so much that he believes that I can just throw it to this spot and the guy's magically going to appear and going to be there. And you watch him at times, he throws to the middle of the field, and you hear a guy coming, but you see the linebacker playing to Mike, and he's dropping in that space, and Brock doesn't even look him off. And they're reading his quarterbacks and reading his eyes. And so he's throwing into a spot, and boom, here's a linebacker sitting right there saying, thank you. And they're doing that. They're spying. They're saying he's going to give you one because we know where he wants to go with this ball. And he was able to get away with it earlier because defense didn't see it. Defense didn't find the tendencies. So now it's there. Everything's out on paper. You don't have necessarily all the weapons that you used to have. We talked about it a long time ago. A lot of people said, is Brock Purdy a product of the environment that he's in when he had all these great receivers, great running game, and he just had to go out and play well? Guys were going to make plays for him. But now he has to do more. And doing more with less sometimes requires you to take more chances, but also sometimes makes you think that I have to do more and go win the game, and you don't necessarily have to do that. And I think he's got to trust it, but he's got to go through his reads and be a little more decisive and saying, I'm not just going to throw it to this spot. Here's the guy's going to be open because I got to make sure that I know that they're not playing to Mike. They don't got a robber here. They're trying to bait me into throwing this ball. I think he trusted Cal so much that he could just here's the spot that I'm throwing to. These guys going to be here. And you used to see it. Guys come out of that break before he even come out. The ball's already there, and it looks beautiful. Because he knew the timing and he knows how to run this offense. Now there's some chinks in those defenses that's saying, this is where he's going to go. Wait here on this. He'll throw it here. If that's not here, there. So he's got to be able to make the next maceration. He's got to be able to make that next step to continue his success of greatness.
Well, here's the advice that a quarterback who's been in a situation where he was usurped, he was Wally pipped. I don't think we're trending in that direction for Brock Purdy, but right now with Mac Jones winning football games, it feels like there's a lot of that noise beginning to get louder. Drew Bledsoe was on with the Morning Roast earlier this week. Here's the advice that he would give Brock Purdy if he was in his situation.
Few pieces of advice. Number one, always keep in mind that even when things aren't perfect, you're still getting paid to play a game. So nobody gets to feel sorry for us, right? Which it's hard to have that perspective sometimes. And then beyond that, man, if you just handle yourself properly, then there will continue to be other opportunities. For me, because I didn't completely screw up that situation and blow it up, first of all, we ended up winning a Super Bowl. But second, then when other teams came looking, they knew that I would had decent character and that there were other opportunities there. So I'm not saying that's Brock's done in San Francisco. I don't think that's probably the case, but you just handle yourself like a pro and put the team first, and then no matter what, you come out of it, with other opportunities and knowing you did the right thing.
Yeah, and look, I think those opportunities are still going to be with the Niners. I don't know about you, Lo, but I still think that when Brock Purdy is 100%, that he gives this football team its highest ceiling. The one question that I have about this year, and you know more about this than other people, is how much that turf toe is going to prevent him from playing at 100% this year. I'm not talking about the future. I'm talking about 2025. Because if Brock Purdy is 100%, I do think that this football team still is better when he's under center.
Well, I think that this team is better not only when he's under center, I think it's better when the running game is better. Brock Purdy is better when this running game is better. Because now Brock Purdy get to utilize what he does well. And what does Brock Purdy does well? He likes to move outside the pocket, for now he's out of the weeds, he's out of the jungle, and he's out of the forest, and he's outside. Now he becomes the double threat. He can run, he can pass. And what do I mean by that? Because when you're running the ball and you're running that zone and that stretch, now that backside, when McCaffrey's really rolling, that guy's trying to pinch down. They're trying to close McCaffrey down, and they're trying to make the tackle. Now Brock can get outside on the boot. Now he's got that deep shadow crossing coming across. He's got Kittle there. He's got the deep post. So he's got three options: mid-level, middle level, and deep level. That's what you have when you get outside the pocket. So you have these three different windows, and you can throw to when you have no pressure. So Brock Purdy, yes. Is he better? Yes. But Brock Purdy is the best when the running game is great. Brock Purdy has a great running game. Brock Purdy can be spectacular because now you can move him. Now you can stay in the pocket. You give him different launch points, tell him to throw the ball. That's Brock Purdy at his best. So it's all, yes, we'd like to see that toe get better and get 100% the turf toe because it's going to be nagging for a while. Yes, that plays a big part. But an even bigger part for Brock Purdy to be great again, to be the guy that we know that he can be, get the running game going and get the running game going well.
And I'm sure at some point they're going to have a 100-yard rusher this year. They just are. But I wonder how much the running game has room to improve. You know, we talked a lot. Well, we talked in the first hour about sustainability. Like I don't think the running game can get worse, but I don't think that it's going to get back to where you're talking about day in, day out, game in, game out. You're looking at a running game that can open things up. Like the offensive line has not been great this season at creating lanes for McCaffrey. McCaffrey's getting older. They don't really have it looks like a ton of trust in Brian Robinson to use him. I think they should. But this is a running game, Low, that I don't know if it can return to a top 5 or top 10 group. Or do you think it needs to for him to be effective?
No, I don't think it needs to be a top 10. It doesn't have to be. I'd like to see a top 12.
Yeah.
I'd like to, man, you know what? To be great, be in the top 10. I'm not saying top 5, top 7, but if you can be in the top 10, that Brock Purdy is going to be way more efficient, way better. So when you're saying, oh, Brock Purdy, get Brock Purdy back, and if once he's healthy, he's going to go back to old Brock Purdy of old, and he's going to be lighting it up. He will play better, but he's not going to play great. He's not going to play with the kind of football that everyone wants him to play well until the running game going. When Shanahan's zone read, when this game is going well, great, that's when Brock Purdy is at his best. That's when Brock Purdy is at his finest hour. So until that happens, brother, Brock Purdy is going to look average to a little bit better than average. If he has to stay in the pocket, can't move, he's got to stay around those trees. Them guys are 6'5", 6'6". They can bat down balls. He can't see necessarily the middle field. He's got to throw always to the outside, to the perimeter. If you can't move Brock Purdy, you're not going to have Brock Purdy at his best. So you keep saying about the toe. Yes, the toe, once it gets healthy, Brock Purdy is going to play a lot better. And Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. Not taking anything away from him. Brock Purdy becomes kind of elite when he has a great running game. That's how efficient he can be once he's outside the pocket. Now he's more versatile. He can do so many other things, not only with his legs, but also throwing the ball because it gives him more windows to throw to.
And I think that's what's been interesting about watching Mac Jones is he's been efficient and they haven't been able to run the football. I mean, they just haven't. They still don't have a rushing touchdown. This is a team that's averaging less than 4 yards per carry during Mac Jones' starts. Against the Rams, they were not very good whatsoever running the football, and he's still able to pick up first downs. He's still able to move the chains. Do you think it's because, one of the theories that I have is that because Mac Jones has played in a lot of different situations that have not been great for him by any means, he's almost more prepared to play with less because he's had to do it before. He's had to do it in New England, and he had one good year his rookie season when they made the playoffs. He was a Pro Bowl alternate. He's had to do it in Jacksonville down the stretch of last season when things didn't go well, but still he was thrown into the fray because Lawrence was hurt. It almost feels like he's more suited to do more with less just because that's kind of been his experience as a quarterback in the NFL.
No question. And we're talking about Mac Jones. He's statuesque. He has to throw from the pocket. That's what he's always been programmed, and that's what he's always had to do. You're absolutely right. And that's why he seems way more efficient. That's why you see him seem comfortable, because that's the way in which he has operated for the majority of his career. You have to realize, for the majority of Brock's career as the Niner starting quarterback, when he's running, getting the bootleg, guys aren't open downfield, he high steps at high knee, picks up extra 13, 14 yards, kills you with his legs. Now the next time on the bootleg, the linebacker comes in and tries to pressure him. Now, boom, he throws it to Kittle because he's on that first level. Boom, next time a bootleg again. Okay, now, boom, guy with the linebacker stays back. But then that second level guy tries to go take the deep high. So, boom, now he's able to throw to that second window. So when you think about what made Purdy and what makes Purdy even more efficient, his ability to scramble, his ability to make things happen with his legs, but that moving in the having a dominant run game. So yes, Mac Jones has operated in a situation that never had necessarily a great run game, never had all those things that you're talking about. Wasn't necessarily a mobile quarterback, that offense that was predicated that wanted to move him around a lot. That's not his strong place. That's not his go-to. That's not his wheelhouse. Getting him in the pocket and letting him go through his progressions. That's what he's been forced to do. That's the kind of quarterback that you look at Belichick, what he wants, what Brady was, statuesque, standing there, go through the reads. And they tell you, look, you beat the pressure with the ball. You don't, and Belichick's mindset and all those Patriots coaches' mindset is like, look, you don't have to be athletic to beat the blitz. See, all these quarterbacks want to run first. That's not what we want. We want you to beat the pass rush with the ball. If you know they're bringing one, there's a window to throw the ball to. Mac Jones understands that, and that's why he's beating, not with his legs, but he's beating the blitz, beating the all-out blitz. How can he still be successful when they're bringing everyone out? Because he's been in a system where they always did that to the Bradys and to the Mannings, and they beat them with the ball, not with their legs.
It's funny you bring up those guys like the Bradys and the Mannings, because it does feel like we're talking about quarterbacks who, there's pantheon quarterbacks in the league, but outside of, I would say, Josh Allen, none of the guys are really playing like it right now. Mahomes is 2-3. Lamar is hurt. Burrow's hurt. And it does feel like coaching and the system that these guys are in, it's making more of a difference than ever, because you don't have those OCs under center. Tom Brady was his own offensive coordinator. Peyton Manning is calling plays at the line of scrimmage. Drew Brees used to do the same. The Rivers, all those kind of older quarterbacks are now out. Roethlisberger. All these guys are now moving and have moved out of the game, that it is incumbent on the play caller on the sideline and the team to really put these guys in the best position. And that's why there's obviously a different level between the best of the best, the top 5, the top 10 guys. But then I would say, the 11 through 25s in the NFL, it does feel like this season is just dependent on what situation they're in. The Jones brothers, Daniel, Mac, you're looking at Sam Darnold in Seattle. Obviously what Jared Goff has done for a long time in Detroit. A lot of these guys, Baker Mayfield, who got a second opportunity, going up and down the list of these quarterbacks, it does feel like, a lot of these guys are as good as their situation allows them to be. And that's why Robert Saleh has been incredible helping this defense play complementary football. But Kyle Shanahan has done something with Mac Jones that no one else in the NFL has been able to do so far.
No, and you're right, but you talk about you're naming these quarterbacks: Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford. These guys don't kill you with their legs. Can they run if they have to?
That's a good point.
Yes, they can. But these aren't those guys that kill you. When you think about what the Commanders have, here's a quarterback that's coming back that's going to probably make some hay. How his ability to scramble, throw the ball. So those guys, though, but we're talking about the guys that are in the hunt, the Jones brothers, the Stafford, the Jared Goffs. These guys are playing right now, the Sam Darnolds, they're playing elite football. If Mac Jones is not pulled out of that game, or if he was deemed the starter against Jacksonville, would he be in the conversation for MVP? That's the crazy thing. Daniel Jones is, without a doubt, right now, Daniel Jones, he's thrown the ball, he's put up the yards, he's put up the numbers, he's on a winning team. Could we say that Mac Jones would be in the conversation for MVP if they were undefeated? Would people be viewing this team even more different? They're competing. Hopefully today they compete against a Tampa Bay team that's got some injuries, but you're playing on the road, you're playing in a hostile environment, and you're playing against a quarterback that has that it factor.
And this very subject was addressed by Greg Cosell with Willard Dibs, I believe it was on Wednesday. The scheme and the coaching, what separates these quarterbacks that aren't the Burrows, that aren't the Allens, the Mahomes, and the Jacksons?
Let's think about maybe the 32 starting quarterbacks, maybe even 64 if you want to go to backups, because theoretically that's what Mac Jones is, a backup. They're probably not all that much different with regards to arm talent, accuracy, processing. There's a few elite guys that maybe have one really strong trait, whether that be great processing, great timing, anticipation, amazing arm talent, athletic ability, but for the most part, it's more about the system that they learn in, and especially regarding the scheme and the play caller's ability to help them play and process consistently. That's what it's really about, guys. There's not, 20 guys who are like, oh my God, these guys can do anything in any system and wow, they're great. There's, in fact, very few of those guys. And by the way, even the guys we consider great, they have a limitation or two as well. It's just that the coach understands how to, work around that and how to make sure that that limitation does not become an issue in critical situations.
I think the guy that he's describing the most is being like the poster child for situation fit dictating the outcome of your career so far. Well, actually, two guys. One was Baker Mayfield, who the Niners are going to see today in Tampa. The other is Sam Darnold. The other is Sam Darnold. I know Daniel Jones comes to mind, but he did have some success with New York prior to when they had a running game in Saquon Barkley. But Sam Darnold was in a couple of places, New York, Carolina, where they just had nothing as far as tutelage and scheme for him to succeed. And you saw what he did 1 year with Kevin O'Connell, and you've seen now one season into his first season in Seattle, and it looks like he's kind of the same guy he was last year.
Yeah, he really does. And that's because I think when you go to a situation and you get stripped of who you were and you have to be retooled, reprogrammed, but the right way, it helps a lot of guys. You look at Sam Darnold, he comes here to the 49ers, gets with Kyle Shanahan. Here's a guy that had to go through, you study, you learn a bunch, you get dialed up, and he's played lights out. You look at these quarterbacks. You look at Mac Jones. He's traveled, but he had some good tools. He had a great foundation. The New England Patriots, they get you ready to play football. Whether I'm not saying he couldn't execute it because he's won some games, went to the playoffs. Wasn't that he couldn't execute it, but they wanted more, and he couldn't give them more. But he still was a serviceable quarterback. And he's showing you now that he is a starter, that he can start and play great minutes. And he's not just a backup, because a backup you go out there, you expect you play 3 games, win 1, lose 2, win 1, just try to hang in there, keep us alive. That's what a backup does. Mac Jones has shown you that he's more than just a backup. Sam Darnold showed the league that he's more than just a backup. A lot of these guys took the backup role, and a lot of guys, you have some guys out there that are backups that you can look at and say, okay, that guy is a backup. You see with Cincinnati Bengals, they had a decent backup. They had to go trade for Joey Flacco because they knew the guy had peaked. He is a backup. Don't necessarily want to cut the guy, just saying he's a backup. He can't go out there and hold this thing down. So you're watching the emergence of guys that started, took the backup role, that retooled themselves, got re-energized, and now they're hitting the ground running, and they're making plays.
It's true. And look, Mac Jones also fits the bill, and he can help the 49ers today win their 4th consecutive with him at quarterback if he can get past Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just about an hour from kickoff, 1:25 in Tampa Bay, 49ers Bucks, a chance for one of these teams to be 5-1 in a battle of 4-1s. Both teams have similar resumes as far as eking out close wins. Who's going to get the W today? We got our answer for you on the other side as we trend towards 1:25. We'll have our predictions coming up in just a little bit. If you want to give your prediction for the game, 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings and Lorenzo Neal. Also want to remind you that next Sunday, we're back at Laughing Monk Brewing in Sunnyvale for the Sunday night matchup between the Niners and the Falcons. 5 o'clock start. You have an opportunity for a free shuttle to and from the stadium. We had one filled up last time. We're getting 2, but you got to go to 957thegame.com, click on the Kickoff Show graphic, and then click on the Eventbrite link to sign up for your spot. The first one sold out. Awesome atmosphere. Be there. Laughing Monk Brewing in Sunnyvale. We're back with more on the Kickoff Show after this 95.7 The Game.
Do you often worry you left the garage door open? With a LiftMaster garage door opener powered by MyQ, you'll never worry again. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage from your smartphone anytime, from anywhere through the MyQ app. As an authorized LiftMaster dealer, Ace's Garage Door Repair and Installation has smart openers designed for your needs, including belt drive motors for ultra-quiet operation, integrated camera for live video, streaming, and battery backup to let you in when the power is out. Trust Ace's Garage Door Repair and Installation for top-notch service and unbeatable reliability. Whether you need a quick fix, a complete replacement, or a brand new installation for your garage door or garage door opener, our skilled technicians are here to get the job done right. With competitive prices, a commitment to quality, and diamond certification, Aces has you covered. Call today at 855-588-2237 or visit acegd.com. That's acegd.com. Aces Garage Door Repair and Installation, where your garage door is our priority.
Stand Up to Cancer has been a critical partner in advancing research for cancer.
It's just so inspiring to do research that impacts human lives.
So please help us fight in this battle against cancer.
Be a part of the team that ends cancer at standuptocancer.org.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-707-6152. 800-707-6152. 800-707-6152.
In San Diego, kids are standing up against big tobacco.
We are here to discuss the urgent issue of vapes being sold near schools and other places where people gather.
I was enticed, like so many others my age, and this is exactly how the tobacco market was trying to get me to react, and I was completely unaware.
Today, over 100 California communities restrict tobacco sales near youth spaces, like schools and parks. Learn how these teens and other Californians are beating big tobacco at undo.org.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is Larry Flick, owner of The Floor Store. Leaves are falling, and so are our prices. Welcome to The Floor Store's Fall Sale. Now through October 14th. Get up to 50% off store-wide on carpet, hardwood, laminate, waterproof flooring, and much more. Plus 2 years interest-free financing. And we pay your sales tax. The Floor Store's Fall Sale. There's just one thing. It ends Tuesday. Go to floorstores.com to find the nearest of our 10 showrooms, from Santa Rosa to San Jose. The Floor Store, your Bay Area flooring authority.
Now back to the Kickoff Show on 95.7 The Game.
All right, about an hour away from the Niners and the Bucs 4-1 squads. Game of the week, 125 kickoff down in Tampa Bay from going toe-to-toe. Evan Giddings, Lorenzo Neal here with you on the Kickoff Show. You know, we talked about a lot of things, Lo, and we're going to go around the league in just a sec. But for those, you know, who thinking about what do you do with the quarterback? Is it Purdy when he comes back? Mac Jones? Just listen to Tony Dungy, The great Tony Dungy.
With Minnesota and the Niners, and you're sitting here with two hot quarterbacks that are playing well. You don't want to take the sting away from your number one guy, but, boy, you owe it to your team. If we've got a hot hand and this guy's playing well, it's hard to take him out. And so we have had those conversations. What would you do? And I think for the most part, we're saying, hey, let Mac roll as long as he's hot.
It's from the morning roast. I mean, just
see,
nothing more needed. You ride the hot hand.
Hey, TD, Tony Dungy played for him with Tampa Bay. Great man, great coach, great leader, most of all. Better person than he is coach. But you heard the coach, he's talked about, hey, look, you got two good quarterbacks. You got two guys capable of winning you football games. He said, but it's simple. We have those conversations. He said he's been in there, Minnesota. He's had two quarterbacks there. Think about when he was a coach in Minnesota. He's been on a bunch of great teams. He said, ride the hot hand. He said, you let Mac Jones cook. You don't pull this guy. You don't put this guy on the bench. You owe it to your players. You owe it to your teams. Your guys, you pull this guy. Guys going to be looking around, coach, what is going on? And if you lose, man, why'd we switch from that? It happens. I played in the Chargers. Had Billy Volek, and Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, the better quarterback. We get it. But we had a good backup in Billy Volek who won football games for the Titans. He won a playoff game for us in San Diego. And you went back with Phillip when Phillip had a bombed ACL and PCL and it's all spring. Why would you go back? And sometimes coaches, they put themselves because they feel beholden to the player. But sometimes you can't do that because you put yourself in a bad situation. And it cost us, as a team, playoff.
Yeah, a potential playoff game, the AFC Championship in 2007. As far as the Niners here today, look, they're going to be without Ricky Pearsall, still out without George Kittle. They do get Malik Mustafa back, who last year had a good rookie season before it was cut short due to an injury, so he's going to make his 2025 season debut. You got Mac Jones under center. Brock Purdy's out for this football game. And you're looking at a Tampa Bay team that has no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin, no Bucky Irving, but has still found a way to win football games. Both of these teams are 4-1. And right now, looking at the entire league low, you got six 4-1 teams. Indianapolis, San Francisco, Buffalo, Tampa, Detroit, and Jacksonville. Denver and Philly both have 4 wins, but they also have 2 losses. Of the 4-1 teams, where do you feel like San Francisco slots right now?
It's tough. I think that Tampa Bay it's hard to beat Tampa. Tampa's shown you they've been there, just like the Niners have been there, but Tampa has been pretty consistent over the years. I think that you look at Philly, they've lost 2, and they continue to lose, lost to the Giants on Thursday night. So
that was a bad loss.
Don't think that they're necessarily there. I really believe right now, I think they're probably 2 or 3. I think you have to give the edge right now to Detroit. You got to look at the Detroit Lions. They finding a way. They're racking up points. They got that team is humming. Goff's another guy that was a guy that was thrown away, left for dead. They ran him out of L.A. Said the guy was done. He's maybe in the MVP conversation. So I think right now in the NFC, I'd probably put Detroit 1, Green Bay. One week they show me that they can be capable, next week they don't. Yeah. That's a team that I thought was going to be humming. So I would go. I would put it in that order. I would go definitely. I would go ahead and go Detroit, Tampa right now, and then I'd probably I would throw in the Niners right there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right. They're in the thick of things, man. They're playing good football game. They're playing good football, and they're playing well enough to win ball games, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have questions as to whether they can get to a higher level than some of the teams right now, record-wise, beneath them. I still think the Rams have another level to get to. Philly's kind of an interesting one. Like, they're a group that is, it's always just so toxic, it feels like, in that locker room, but they managed to put it behind them last year and win a Super Bowl. They've made deep runs before in the past when A.J. Brown's reading on the sideline and doing all this stuff. But I think among the 4-1s right now in the NFC, I don't know how you don't look at San Francisco as being just behind Detroit. I'm with you. I think the Lions, the fact that they've lost both their coordinators and still look to be as dominant as they've been so far,
they can score. That's why I give them a more advantage.
They win in the trenches.
Yeah,
I mean that's why I think that they feel more sustainable to me. The Niners, they're young, and so I want to give them room to improve, but I guess their lack of command at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball is why I would have them behind the Lions. Because I don't think that their O-line has certainly done well enough to control the run game. And defensively, you talked about it earlier, they haven't gotten to the quarterback. I also don't think that that's a coincidence. The fact that they don't have an interception, and now with Bosa being out for the season, they can't get consistent pressure on the QB. I think those two are kind of correlated. I mean, eventually a quarterback's going to give them one and you're going to get a pick here or there. You're not going to go the whole season without getting an interception. But the fact that you have not made a quarterback uncomfortable, against Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, they did not have a single QB hit on him in that football game. And I think the fact that those quarterbacks are kept clean right now is also a reason why you probably don't have an interception as a defense.
Yeah, it is, because you haven't been able to generate enough pressure from your front four to put quarterbacks in a awkward position to make them throw untimed balls, meaning that, hey, look, they got pressure, they got to throw it up, just get rid of it. And that's where you start getting the interceptions. We haven't seen the Niners do that enough and haven't been consistent enough to make quarterbacks give it up. So that's a knock, and that's why one of those reasons that they're not over Detroit, because Detroit can do that with the pass rush. So I think there's some things that gives you some reserves about this team, give you some saying, God, it makes you say, I don't know, can I put them over Tampa Bay? Because Tampa has been able to get after quarterback. Tampa can't, even though they've won some games in the last minute, they've still shown you that they could, do some things so defensively wise. So the Niners defense has been, but they don't break. They don't necessarily get a bunch of sacks. They don't get a bunch of turnovers, but they win. So that has to count for something.
No, it does. And I think the dominance and how impressive Baker Mayfield has been this season is and that's to me why I think if you're talking about MVPs, he's got to be right up there towards the top, because they've been in such close games. It's not as if they're pitching shutouts.
Right.
Right. 1 week ago, they had to score 38 points to get a 3-point win. It's like those are the kinds of games that they've been in. And as we look at this individual matchup between the two, that to me is going to be the biggest question. Can the Niners keep up with the Bucs? Because I think they've shown that even with the guys they're missing, Evans, Godwin, Irving, they still find ways to put up points, and Baker Mayfield's a big reason why. But if the Bucs score 25 plus, is Mac Jones going to be able to keep the Niners in this football game? That's something that does concern me, because to your point, the defense has been awesome this year. They're allowing 19 points per game, 6th in the NFL. They've done a nice job of bending but not breaking. But if Tampa's going down and getting 6 instead of taking 3, that's the one thing about this game that made me feel Niners might be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, it made me concerned too, but when I saw them being able to score with the Rams and find a way to do what they needed to do, they did it. So I do believe that it's going to be tough if they get in a shootout. I agree with you there. I think that another thing that you have to look at is on this game is like, okay, you understand Baker's probably a little bit better scrambling. Okay, the quarterback position, you may give a little edge to Baker, but it's like, what you talk about in the trenches, offensive line, you're talking about defensive line. They're the Niners, I don't know where their advantage is offensively. And I don't know where their advantage is defensively, because, in the secondary, Tampa can be tough in the secondary. They got pretty good safeties. I'm trying to find where there's a clear-cut advantage for the Niners. Is it special teams? Is it coaching? Where do you think that they have a decisive advantage?
I think they have the best playmaker on the field, and that's Christian McCaffrey. I think that to me is where their offense has kind of been able to get by. But again, I don't know if that's completely sustainable. Using him as much as they have, I do think that using him more of a pass catcher has allowed him to not absorb as much damage as he typically takes between the tackles. But, I think McCaffrey's presence on the field is so important for everyone else. That to me is really the only thing that makes me feel like this offense is going to be able to shoot with Tampa Bay in this game.
Do you worry about his usage?
I do.
McCaffrey?
I do.
Do you? How do you think he should be utilized? The same way he's been utilized, or do you throw it to him more? Do you decrease the runs to him? Do you say, hey, look, let's give the ball. Let's let some other guys run the ball in between tackles to try to get some tough sledding. How are you going to minimize McCaffrey? Because you alluded to earlier today, he's on pace to have over close to 500 touches.
Yeah.
Is that sustainable for a back in this league?
I don't think it is. I mean, I think eventually it's going to catch up with him. But to me, it's like I think they've done a good job of threading the needle. They haven't let him run the ball outside of week 1, I think, more than 20 times. He's touched the ball a ton, but a lot of it's been, okay, with space to make the choice, whether you want to get down, whether you seek contact. I think they've done a good job of putting him in a position to protect himself as much as possible. So they've threaded that needle. But I would like to see more Brian Robinson today. I would like to see more. If they're going to run the ball, then I think Brian Robinson's got to be involved because McCaffrey is someone that I think that they're knocking on the door of danger with him if they continue to use him as much as they have. Because if there is one thing we've learned, apparently your starting quarterback can go down, you can still win games. Your starting tight end can go down, you can still win games. Your starting receivers can go down, you can still win games. McCaffrey's the one guy they cannot afford to lose. If I was to pencil in someone, maybe Trent Williams as well, but McCaffrey's the guy.
Oh, no question he is, man. He's definitely the guy, the man on this team that generates the offense. He is the train that keeps it all going. I talked to a buddy that wrestled against in college, didn't wrestle against, but against us on his team. He didn't wrestle with me. He wrestled at Arizona State. Always we talk ball, we talk politics, talk everything. Marco Sanchez, good guy here, lives in the Bay. He's listening to 95.7 The Game. So, Marco, appreciate you, buddy, listening to the 95.7 The Game. I just think that we look at this Niner team, and I don't think they've been given enough credit for what they've been able to do. What McCaffrey does for this offense, even though he hasn't had 100 yards rushing. People are like, okay, what's wrong with the running game? McCaffrey is still the running game. They throw him a 5-yard out. They throw him a swing pass. He picks up 10, 15, 20. You've seen the plays that he's been able to do. He does keep this offense functioning and function at a high level because what he brings to the table. The other day when he caught the touchdown in the end zone, he hasn't ran for a touchdown, but he caught one. They had they had him doubled in that play. He outflanked the widest linebacker. They had a guy inside and outside. When they're doing that bracket coverage, they're telling the quarterback, look away. Don't even look that way. This is kudos to Mac Jones is saying, I know you have him doubled. You think you have him doubled. He's going to threaten your one guy, and you're not going to be able to cover him. So what McCaffrey has done against the coverages that they've tried to scheme against him to make him non-existent in the passing game still doesn't work.
No, and that's why he could be an all-pro running back. He could be an all-pro slot receiver. And I think he's been more of the latter this year, quite honestly. He's been their best receiver. He's been the one out there that's been in uniform every game. He has been, maybe he doesn't have the most catches, the most yards every single game, but he draws the most eyes. And I think that's another reason why Mac Jones has been allowed to play as comfortably as he has, because Christian McCaffrey might be the best safety blanket in the NFL. Offensively. It's just what he does is incredible.
It really is. I know he is. I think when people see what he brings to the table and how he's able to get open and what he does to man coverage, it's a mismatch. If you give the quarterback time to throw the ball, I don't think you can guard McCaffrey. I mean, he's that prolific. I saw him outflank watching the play. You got a linebacker playing inside. You got another one playing outside bracket coverage. I saw him threaten the outside shoulder of the linebacker and then pushes it upfield and picks up, 15, picks up the first down, picks up the touchdown, watching the way that he's able to do that with the consistency in which he does it, knowing man or zone, knowing what they're doing, and still able to, that's a process. When you see zone or you see man and you're running your route, you're adjusting while you're running. You're thinking of the route, and that's what people understand. Okay, this guy, I'm seeing him widening. He's widening. Okay, I'm going to keep making him widen. I'm going to keep pressing his outside shoulder to keep him widening because I already know that I'm going to anticipate that he's going to widen. Now I got to snap around and turn inside. So McCaffrey's reading that, feeling that on the way back, and now the quarterback has to be on the same page because all of a sudden they're wide and you think, okay, he's dead. But no, because now he's got this option, this read. He's going to sit down right there, and now the quarterback's got to be able to throw it to a place where he and only McCaffrey knows. So I think the way that he's able to orchestrate it and the way that he's able to deliver it, that is unbelievable.
Well, and that to me is to why to answer your original question. I think that's the advantage. It's not as drastic as the Rams game where they were heavy underdogs, short week on the road. You don't have the better quarterback. You don't have the better skill position players, but you had guys that made plays. In a way, Lo, I feel like for the Niners to win this game today, it's got to look somewhat similar to what they did against LA, which was making timely plays, not hurting themselves on special teams, and can someone punch a ball out? Can you get to Baker Mayfield once or twice, make him a little uncomfortable? Is he going to give you one? And then does Mac Jones take care of the football? I think that's going to be their path to success because, when you ask me that, I'm thinking about offense, defense, special teams. There's not a lot of places where they do hold, I think, an advantage over Tampa. Defensively, they've been more impressive this year, I think, for sure. But what Baker has done to opposing defenses can't be discounted.
No, it can't. And that's what I'm looking for, that edge. What is the edge? You think if the Niners are going to win today, what is it going to take? And I think the edge to me is not turning the ball over. The biggest edge that you as an organization and as a team that's going into a hostile area, that's playing with your back against the wall, playing where you're the underdog, is to win the turnover battle and try to play mistake-free football. If you can do that as a Niners organization and say, okay, we're going to make them have long, sustainable drives. We are not going to put the ball on the ground. We're not going to give up cheap interceptions. Mac is going to have to continue to play with great efficiency. We're going to have some type of running game. We're going to have to continue to throw the ball to McCaffrey in the flat, the swing, and he's got to continue to do what he has to do. We have to keep the ball. We have to limit the touches that we give Baker. We have to control the offense, whether it's the pass or the run, because people think, oh, my God, I got to pass. I got to run the ball in order to eat up clock. That's not true. You don't need to necessarily run the ball to eat up clock if you can have a great pass, short pass, turn it into a run, check down. It's just as good as a run. It's just like a sweep. So those are the things that the Niners have to do to create the advantage, because you're not necessarily a better team. So to create that advantage, to create that illusion, you have to be more efficient than the team you're playing against.
Well, as we get to our predictions for this football game, again, 125 kick between the Niners and the Bucs. This is a game where I feel like the things that the Niners have done that have won them the games might catch up with them a little bit. I think that Tampa also has made winning plays down the stretch. If this game was at Levi's, I would feel different, Lo. But I think traveling to the East Coast, Tampa at home, they've won some close games. I don't feel great about this game, this spot, particularly for the 49ers. So this is the first time I've picked against the Niners this year. But if you're asking me who I think is going to win this football game today, I think Tampa's going to take it. I think it's going to be close, like every game has, but I think they score enough to get over San Francisco somewhere in the 27-24 or 30-27 range.
Yeah, I look at this, and with not having Mike Evans, not having your two starting receivers, not having your starting running back, this is going to be one of the only times that not having your starting tackle, that Baker doesn't have all of these guys. So They haven't been used to this moment. I think the Niners have been used to a lot of moments. They've been used to not having their best tight end, maybe the best receiver. They've been used to, they've been in situations where guys are down and out, but they found a way. So I think the advantage is to the Niners because of the fact they've been in this situation without the dogs and out the big guns, and they found a way. How does Tampa react? What do they do with not having a plethora of their guys out? Let's see the way that they deal with that adversity, because the Niners have. So for that reason, I'll give the Niners the victory.
I got you. Well, and this is the thing, too. It's like, we talked about it earlier. I think you said it perfectly. On paper, it's hard to figure out how this has happened for San Francisco. But if you've watched all the games, you know how it's happened. And you know exactly why it's happened, because this is a good football team. And if they find a way to win today, I wouldn't be shocked. But I feel like looking at this game, this is where the train might stop for Mac Jones. And then it's going to be a very interesting conversation, win or loss, honestly, about what you do at the quarterback spot moving forward. So we're going to be in the same position looking ahead here. And, I also think, too, for the Niners, this is one of their toughest games of the season. The schedule has helped them a lot, but last week and this week, you can make an argument the two toughest 2 weeks in a row for them. And they get a little bit of extra rest off the Thursday, 1.5 weeks. But if they're able to get this game, you look at what the rest of the season has in the store for them. This is a football team that is in a position to not just challenge for the NFC West, but I think it's theirs. If they can win this football, a lot needs to happen still, but they are in the driver's seat if they win this football game today.
They really are. And I think that they're going to take this as a business trip. They're on a road trip. They understand what's at stake. They're going to be in a dogfight. These are two teams that are going to be in dogfight. And we know the better team's going to win. And yes, you look at what Tampa's done and what they have and how they get after you. It's going to be tough sledding for this Niner team. And they understand that. But if you do find a way to win this, if Mac Jones continues to thrive and Mac Jones continues to have success, and he finds a way to go through this game and win this game and go head-to-head with a guy that's been on a similar path but in this thing for a lot longer, and he beats this quarterback head-to-head, this would be one. This would, like you said, the Rams game was huge, but this would be the finest hour.
I mean, I think so. Especially, look, the next game is the biggest one, and it's a massive one for the San Francisco 49ers. Make sure to keep it locked right here, by the way, all day on 95.7 The Game. We got overtime with Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett coming up after the Niners and the Bucs get finished. And then at 6:30, we turn things over to the Golden State Warriors, who have a preseason game at Los Angeles against the Lakers that tips off with Tim Ray at 7 o'clock. So action on both sports fronts, the NFL, and then, of course, transitioning into the NBA. But coming up next, I want to take one break and then get you into some final words from a Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl champion, an MVP, Steve Young. We're going to replay our conversation with him on the other side with Mark Willard and Dan Dibley earlier this week to get you set for the Niners and the Buccaneers. We have our predictions in. They got to go out and prove it. Can the Niners move to 5-1? We're going to find out in just a little bit right here on 95.7 The Game. Evan Giddings, Lorenzo Neal. One more break, and then Steve Young on the other side here on the Kickoff Show.
So what are you reading?
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year. What about those new high dynamic range TVs?
They got the highest scores of all, but their prices are really high.
Did you check online?
Yeah, their prices were about the same.
Well, there's one place where we can get a hot deal on those top-rated models.
Where?
At Video Only. Check out the ratings on TV stores.
I see. Video Only scored better than the others.
So, if you want the best deal on the best TVs,
then we should take our TV ratings and head over to top-rated Video Only.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
Comcast Business can help turn your small business into a connected, secure, modern business.
It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How healthcare offices become the data-protecting caregivers that we all depend on. And how wealth management firms become cyber-securing guardians of your information. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, and Wi-Fi backup, your business can stay connected and get threat-ready with Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Now through November 16th, new Comcast Business customers can get started with 150 megabit internet plus security for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and auto-pay with bank account. Early termination fee applies. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code HEAT to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Morning, Zoe. Got donuts.
Jeff Bridges, why are you still living above our garage?
Well, I dig the mattress, and I want to be in a T-Mobile commercial like you. Teach me, Saldana.
Oh, no, I'm not really prepared. I couldn't possibly. At T-Mobile, get the new iPhone 17 Pro. On them, it's designed to be the most powerful iPhone yet and has the ultimate pro camera system.
Wow, impressive. Let me try. T-Mobile is the best place to get iPhone 17 Pro because they've got the best network.
Nice, Jeffrey.
You heard them. T-Mobile is the best place to get the new iPhone 17 Pro on us with eligible trade-in in any condition.
So, what are we having for lunch?
Dude, my work here is done.
24 monthly bill credits on experience beyond for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Credits ended, balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Finance agreement iPhone 17 Pro, 256 gigs, $1,099.99 and new line minimum $100 plus a month plan with auto pay plus taxes and fees required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data 1H2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Now back to the Kickoff Show on 95.7 The Game.
All right, Evan Giddings and Lorenzo Neal. Before we get out of here, I want to remind everyone that we will be back at Laughing Monk Brewing, 1235 down south in Sunnyvale at Laughing Monk Brewing for next week's Kickoff Show for Sunday Night Football. It's a big game with the Falcons in town. We start at 5 o'clock. Show up, show out. And if you sign up now, still space left for a free shuttle to and from Levi's Stadium. So 957thegame.com, click on the Kickoff Show graphic, and then click on the Eventbrite link to sign up. Pull up. It's going to be a lot of fun, food, drinks, games, and a whole lot more for the Niners and the Falcons. Evan Giddings and Lorenzo Neal will be live in Sunnyvale at Laughing Monk Brewing for our next Kickoff Show. All right, right now, before we hand it off to Fox Sports, and then, of course, on the other side, overtime for Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett, leading into the Warriors game against the Lakers tonight. Steve Young was on with Willard and Dibs earlier this week, talking about all the things as far as quarterback controversy, the situation, how do you describe it? Let's listen to the Hall of Famer break it down before you get set for the Niners and the Buccaneers here on Sunday. Here's Steve Young.
River Island's guest line. Here he is, the great Steve Young, joining us. Hey, friend, you're the best. How are you, man?
How you doing, buddy? Great. How are you doing, buddy?
We're doing great. I was just thinking about how, so when the Chiefs played the Niners in the Super Bowl, Joe Montana sent out that thing with both jerseys, and he's like, I can't lose. Are you going to do the same thing with the Niners and Bucks getting together this weekend?
What? Shut up, bro. That is crazy.
That's so crazy.
Bring that up.
Yeah.
That is nuts. Man, like, there's no confusion here. My gosh. I spent a long year there, and the culture of the place was terrible, and the guys were great, and I loved the guys, but my gosh, that was a painful experience. But I will tell you, it's funny. I played one full season. We were 2-14, and the next season I'm with the 49ers, and we go down to Tampa to play, and in 1987, and I get down there, and the PR director for the Bucs, who I'd kind of gotten friendly with, he said, "Hey, you don't realize this, but you were voted the MVP of the Bucs last year." And I'm like, that's kind of weird. I'm not really sure to think about that because we were 2-14. Like, I don't know about that. He goes, "Yeah, we want to give you the trophy at halftime. Could you come out and receive it?"
No way.
And I was like, I'm going to be in a 49er uniform. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing seems really odd. And, there I was, halftime, like, hey, take a bow.
There it is. Well, where is that Buccaneers MVP trophy now, Steve?
Oh, man, it's in a pile somewhere. I don't know. We have to dig that one out.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Steve Young here on 95.7 The Game. And one of the reasons why we're thrilled to have you, of course, we're always happy to have you, but it's the idea of Mac or Brock and Brock or Mac. And when you're in that spot where, Mac was highly drafted, not as highly drafted as you, but you feel like you're kind of the guy, and then you go out there and you do well. What does that do when you eventually have to kind of go back into that baseball cap mode?
Well, for me, I think it's important to distinguish how I felt about it and how, it's a different time, a different place. So you got to remember, it sucked. Like, I didn't want to, that's not what it's strange as it was, Bill Walsh had presented an opportunity that Joe had multiple back surgeries and there was this opportunity to play. And I told Coach Walsh, look, I hate to hear that about Joe, but if there's an opportunity, I would love that. And no better place than in San Francisco. It'd be amazing. But I want to be clear. I got to go play. And I've always played. And I said, I'd rather go to law school than not play. And then he's like, no. So then I get there, and I've told this story many times, but just in case you haven't heard it, first practice, I'm out there with the 49ers. I'm nervous. I got, stuff given to me. Ted Walsh gave me all the shorts and the shirt and the shoes and everything else. And I'd never met Joe. And then, waiting to, and I don't know if he's going to be there. I mean, maybe he was in surgery. I know. And then I remember Bill was out there, Coach Walsh was out there, and we were warming up, and then Joe came jogging out, and I'm like, my first thought, the second I saw him, was like, that dude is not hurt. that dude is not hurt. That dude is good to go. And that began a 6-year odyssey. So how I felt about it is just really different than anything that's going on today. But yet I got the best advice I ever got from a coach that in the middle of all that mess and all the frustration that said, Steve, I know you want to start. I know that's what your expectation was, but you'll never be a starter until you learn the lesson that if you want a job that you don't have, you better become the best in the world at the job you have. And so it was really a sea change for how I saw the job of a backup, because I kind of spit it out all the time. I hated it. It was like you throw up in your mouth kind of stuff. And I had to learn the truth is that if you really want another job, then be the best at the job you have today. And I thought it's been true my whole life, really. And that's why I did kind of start to believe that, okay, what would that look like? How would I prepare? I prepare different. I prepare like I was going to play every week. And how can I help Joe be the best that he can be? How can I, that's the job. And so I think once I did that, it really made me feel like I was at least, in it and contributing and really on the ball. And it helped me when it did transition. It helped me a ton that I'd done that work. So anyway, that's a long story for how I'm a little bit different than the guys that are going today. But for Mac, he came and they told him, you're backing him up, And so he said that over to you guys, and almost too much, right? Like Mac, like you don't have to keep, you can say, hey, I'm awesome, and I'm good, and I'm playing hard, and I'd love to keep playing. Like it doesn't hurt anybody, but he's really respectful, and I love that about him. But the thing that can't change is how he's played, and how he's played has been very inspiring. And so that fact is a fact. And so it's the locker room knows it. They've been inspired by him, and doesn't take anything away from Brock. It might make things more awkward, but it doesn't take anything away from him. And I've always believed that awkwardness and creative tension is a positive. So I think it's going to be hard for Mac to ever go back. Like, he's now tasted it. And if it's not going to be in San Francisco, I pray he doesn't go to, don't make me list them, but there's 20 of them, places where I would not want to be, and that he can find a place that can give him this opportunity to see how good he can get, because this is the ultimate place for that.
The great Steve Young is with us here on Willard and Dibs 95.7 The Game. I mean, Steve, you just detailed it. I mean, the quarterback controversy you lived was the all-time quarterback controversy. I think I know how you'd answer this, but I'd love to back up and just get your response to, is there anything that even resembles a controversy, or how would you describe what's currently going on?
I would describe it's awkward, but it's pleasantly awkward, right? It's like everyone involved is going to behave and do things good. Well, they're not going to. It's a good locker room. It's a good quarterback room, but it's just inevitable that And I think the awkwardness brings out the best in both of them. Mac will support Brock 1,000%. Brock will support Mac 1,000%. That's just who they are. And so the awkwardness is going to be to the benefit of the 49ers. They just have to withstand all of the chat and the chitter chat that goes on. That's going to make it harder. It makes it hard to, because it's going to, every day they're going to try to make it controversial, something that's toxic, something that derails the success of the team, derails our ability to go win a championship, and they'll just make it feel and sound terrible. And people just have to live through it and say, no, it's not terrible. It's awkward, but it's creative, it's positive, and we're getting the best out of both of them. And they're just going to have to shout that back at all the places, because I think no matter what, people will try to get under people's skin and try to peck at it and make it a problem.
Yeah, and thank God for the chatter. Otherwise, Mark and I would be out there delivering milk, or I mean, I might be no doubt. And oh man, God, the chatter we needed. I wonder though, Steve, about the way you look at it and the whole idea of ride the hot hand, because Mac right now is hot. They're winning. If Mac wins again and Brock is healthy, do they ride the hot hand, or do they go back to the starter?
It just depends on health, right? Because, and then again, these are. John Lynch doesn't do this for free, right? Kyle doesn't do this for free. These guys are the best in the business, and these are the quality problems that you get yourself into very rarely, and it really depends on how you want it to be. Like, it's very obvious that you've made this huge contract for Brock, and that's got its own statement and truth. And then we also know that Kyle loved Mac from the beginning, and so there's that connection that they've had, and that's now flourishing. And so to me, it's at one level it's a business, and part of the business is keeping the locker room together, going to win a championship, and then long-term, viability. So it's like and the idea that you don't constantly kind of put your finger in there and figure that out is probably a mistake. And so I think, odds are very much so that Brock is in a place where he's going to be able to play, and Mac will probably be forced to go somewhere else. And that's probably the odds-on situation. And yet, I leave it to those guys that make all that big money to figure out what they want to do. Because I think, and it really depends on Mac, right? Because we know Brock. We can count, there's things that to me, when Brock suits up, I know what I'm getting. And it's a lot, right? And Mac, we think we've gotten some great glimpses into what Mac is, and the toughness and the ability to deliver the football and all that stuff, but he doesn't have as much clarity, and every week's more and more clarity. But that does make it a little bit uneven fight for Brock, because he's got so much time with us, and we know who he is, and we like it, and we want more Brock. And what's happening is we want kind of more Mac too, and that's what I said before. It's awkward.
Steve Young with us here on Willard and Dibs. Steve, this is putting the cart before the horse, I get it, but you've mentioned twice about the idea of Mac going somewhere else, and he's on a 2-year deal. So I'm wondering, let's say he does just, compile a few more wins, then Brock comes back and the Niners do whatever they do. Is the tension you're talking about something that's still there in the offseason? Do the Niners just keep him, or do they owe it to him to get him somewhere else?
To me, I think the awkwardness brings out the best in both of them because they're not toxic personalities. And I felt the same way in my situation. Like what did the 49ers get? They got the best of both of us, and it was awkward and it was painful, but my gosh, it was like all we had. And so in that way, I feel like Brock and Mac would respond to that tension in a really positive way. So my opinion, if I was the general manager, despite again the awkwardness, I think I get the best out of both of them. And then it's on me as the leader of the kind of running the team how I distribute that, right? How do I clarify that? I mean, the more clarity you give, hey, Brock's our starter, Mac, you'll play if he's hurt or something goes haywire. And then, because the problem becomes, we don't want to give clarity. We're going to just let it play out and we'll see week to week. And that leaves the locker room in a really tough spot. So, but I'm not against maintaining the best possible, tandem, and that would be Brock and Mac together. And I think it can be to the positive of both of their games and to the 49ers if played out right.
Steve, I want to go back to what Dibs was asking you with regard to the whole hot hand thing. And I wonder if you've noticed anything. I know fans are always going to talk, but there's so many fans who seem eager to continue seeing Mac. Do you think this experience has brought maybe out from the weeds some sort of, I don't know if it's distrust or whatnot from the fan base with regard to Brock?
Well, Brock, was elite in 23, and last year was hard. It's hard on everybody. I mean, I bet Kyle would say I was kind of 6-10, and Brock was kind of 6-10, and a lot of players were missing, and it was like all this stuff. But what happened is both Brock and Kyle and the personalities. I'm gonna do whatever I can, and so you overdo it, and you could see him trying to do too much, and that caused him to start to make mistakes that he wouldn't normally make. And so the mistakes through the year, and that's what you saw this season a little bit was. Something's not. We were throwing a couple interceptions a game, and last season was a lot more mistakes. Then it feels like there's a pattern emerging, and injuries are part of it, and the team that's available is a part of it. And so that's the rigor of being the big paid starting franchise quarterback. That's like welcome. That's that's where you are. That's who you are. That's what you are. And so that's part of the challenge, right, is that you have to live those shoes out when you're going through all the ups and downs. And now Mac, in a very short time, has played inspiration. Like you watched him in the Ram game limp around and make the throws and bring them back and make the scores that happen that are hard. In the NFL, especially on the road against the Rams, which are a very good team, you're like, I left that game like, dang, man, it's freaking, I'm going to go get a 10 jersey and keep this up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's nothing to do with Brock. That's just an emotional response to knowing how hard the game is and how somebody's playing inspirational football for your squad. And so that's the awkwardness that you just have to kind of take in. It's okay. It's okay. And it doesn't have to be zero-sum game. We can find abundance in here. We just got to talk about it the right way. We got to respond the right way. And fans can feel a little conflicted because Mac's on the field, winning division games on the road, and kind of inspiring us. So it's not. Again, it's not, like I just refuse to allow the dilemma and the creative tension and the abundance of the situation. Two guys are playing great football for us to make it be. You can't turn it negative on me. You can't turn it into something toxic or transactional where you're going to make me have to choose somebody and make someone else a lose. Like, I'm not doing it. And I think that's the challenge that Kyle has going forward. And look, it's week to week. If somebody has a terrible game, it makes it even more intense. And if everybody keeps playing great, it makes it easier. But it's okay. But it has to be handled really well. It'll be handled really well with Mac and Brock. I know that. I'm not even worried about it. No problem. I think it'll be handled really well with John and Kyle. I really have high confidence in that. And I guarantee the fan bases are just, it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
It's going to be wild, in a positive way, because whoever's on the field's playing pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. So I refuse to go down the rabbit hole of finding why this is a terrible thing. In the end, this is terrible for the 49ers that we have quarterbacks that are playing great. Like, that can't be true. It cannot be true.
No,
be true.
That's well said. Do you have any concerns, though? Let's talk about just the physical thing that Brock is dealing with. Do you have concerns there? What is your experience with turf toe and what this might mean for him rest of the year or even beyond?
Yeah, I've had slight turf toe. Nothing that ever got the ligament really kind of pissed. Like I've never had that. So, but I can tell you that the guys that have, it really depends. Like look at Joe Burrow. Like you can do things to it where that ligament is like sayonara, bro. I'm not coming back. And so obviously he hurt it again, which is so typical. Like how do you stay off your big toe?
Yeah.
Like other than lay down, right? Like there's no way. And so that's the challenge. And so I think what we learned about the last time we played him a couple weeks ago is let's try to get this, especially if Mac's playing well, let's try to get this to a place where we don't have to have this back and forth for the whole season, because it's very possible that 2025 ends and we go to the retrospective in February and we'll say, God, man, what a rough season for Brock. It never got right. It never happened. You know what I mean? Like that's what we just don't want. And we're in a situation where maybe we don't have to. And so that's why you got to play out. And I have no idea whether he can come back full speed next week or not. Like you just have to play it out. But the toe itself and putting pressure on it and that ligament and going and playing again, I don't know where they play next, whether they go off to Tampa, do they come home again?
Yeah, home to Atlanta.
Yep. Yeah, and then go back on the turf anytime. That's why, like, playing on the grass doesn't make it all better, but it does make it less than catching on the turf again and having it just jam you up. But yeah, we'll have to play that out. But again, I don't want the retrospective to be, man, Brock never got right. Like that's not cool.
One more thing before you run, and it's this, because these situations, again, yours so different than this, but how does it affect an entire locker room? Like, what do you think the other players are thinking right now about this whole situation?
So you have to educate the locker room. The key is that you have a mature locker room, a self-policing. We've had that for the last 6 or 7 years. The leaders in the locker room that won't allow the agitation or the anxiety to start to affect the guys. And that's going to come a lot from the communication from Kyle and from John. And so all that, and we have the people. John's the right person, Kyle's the right person, and the leaders in our locker room are the right people. So we've got all the ingredients to handle this really well. The problem comes is if somehow it's not communicated well, or it's left to have a vacuum of information, and people start to fill it with guesswork and anxiety. And then once the anxiety hits in the locker room and the leadership can't kind of quiet it down, then that's where the distraction comes. And that's hard. Now, that doesn't mean that, again, awkwardness in my mind is not distraction, right? Awkwardness is some tension, but I call it creative tension. I don't call it, anything else. So it's like, it's a fine line. But again, I refuse to make it a negative. Like, it's awesome. It's a quality problem.
Yeah.
And any of us would love to have only quality problems in our lives.
Well, I think you should feel that way about turning 64. Oh. It's a quality problem.
Yeah.
It's quality. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's so great.
Happy birthday, dude. Thank you for coming on.
I'll see you guys.
Okay. See you later. There he goes. Steve Young.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card.